Hey guys, I know it's been a long time since I've posted, so I really apologize for that. So, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. I speak with Evan Cissell. Evan Cissell used to work for IEMS as a paramedic and just recently got hired full time at Greenwood Fire Department. He went through Northern Johnson County's very first fire academy. So, we did talk about what that was like for him, pros and cons of it, things that he really pulled away from that whole program itself. I, for one, am a huge fan of that entire academy, and I hope that it grows from there. We also discuss a lot about suicide and mental health awareness. So, if you guys are dealing with anything like that, please reach out and talk to somebody. I hope you guys enjoy this episode and stay safe out there. And then, so go ahead and tell everybody who you are.
I'm Evan Cissell. I'm a firefighter paramedic. Um, that's about it.
That's exciting. Well, Evan, I think I know more about yourself than you do. So you recently just got hired at Greenwood Fire Department.
Yes.
Right. And we're not representing Greenwood Fire Department as we're sitting here talking, obviously.
Just 10-year probie.
10-year probie.
Yeah.
You just got hired full-time recently. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You went through I call it the Northern Johnson County Recruit
Right.
Academy.
Several different names for it, yeah.
There's a lot of names, which one day we will be, hopefully.
Yeah.
Northern Johnson County Fire Department. That's just a goal of mine.
There you get all new shirts.
Yeah. Who's going to be chief? We don't have a chief. Who cares?
Oh.
So we won't know.
37 seconds.
Hey, this isn't your representation of you, buddy. We're going to be fine.
I'm not in any uniform of any sorts.
No, we're not representing anybody.
So
let's go ahead and talk about your career, your previous career that you had. So obviously, you've been part-time at Greenwood for quite a while, but then 10 years.
10-year award.
That's two hands.
That's
this many.
That's this
if
many.
you're Cody Barber, it's two and a couple toes. That's what it's going to be. So we're going to go ahead.
13. Get that one out.
So you are also at IEMS as well.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to me about that career that you had there.
So like anything I've done, moving into it, I always lead into thinking I'm not good enough to do it. There's no way I'm smart enough to do that. There's no way I can handle, like I'm not to that level. When you see, because it was Wishart at the time before I applied, and that was kind of that whole, oh, you work for Wishart, and I just looked at it and I saw these mythical individuals that I'm like, man, they work for Wishart, like they're squared away, they got their stuff. And then once I realized, like, I just have to be indoctrinated into the knowledge that you gain from it, and it all makes sense. Did the same thing with paramedic school. Did the same thing when I got my advanced. I was like, no way. There's no way. I went to college thinking I was going for paramedic science, worked with a medic once, and I was like, I'm sure that was German. I don't know what he said. Let's take a step back. But now that I'm a paramedic, I'm like, whoa, it's not as hard as they made it sound. I mean, there's tough days, but like, I can do this. So yeah, moving through, getting hired in Marion County and working through that and figuring out where I wanted to be, what areas I liked, clienteles and stuff. And floating helped. I floated for a year when I got my medic. So I got to see areas of the town that were a little more educated. So they would try something before calling 911. Like they'd wake up with a headache and they would take an aspirin and that headache wasn't going away. And they're like, I think this might be something more. And then they would call 911. And then I worked in areas where they'd wake up and be like, 911's my only option for this headache, and they'd immediately call it. They wouldn't try anything. So those township areas, you get behind the eight ball a little bit because they waited too long to call, kind of like when we went through COVID and everybody was afraid to go to the hospital. So it's just a different outlook of different areas, different socioeconomic classes and stuff like that. So it's very eye-opening, and it's fun. It was fun to see the difference all around the city.
Did you end up getting a college degree?
I did. I got a fire science, safety tech, yeah. Yeah, I switched over. I switched back. I was like, this paramedic thing's going to go on hold. The ink wasn't even dry on my basic cert, so I was like, I think I have some time. I'm 18. I don't need to be a paramedic at 19. Let's let this go. And I'm glad I did. I kind of stair-stepped into it. I worked at a service, a 911 service that offered an advanced program. So that gave me a little bit of step up into higher procedures, a little bit, but at least I got to kind of start playing with those, get comfortable with those, and then when I eventually went and got my paramedic, which I joke that it wasn't my decision that I went to go get paramedic. It just, like, every day I kept having people be like, why aren't you in medic school yet? And as it clicked, I was like, well, I've been asked 15 times this week. Maybe there's something there. Like, maybe they're seeing something in me that, like I said, the way I felt about it was, I'm not smart enough to be a paramedic. Like, there's no way.
Did you excel easily in school?
Oh, no. No.
It was more just like the street type learning?
Oh, yeah.
Not book smarts, but street smarts.
Yeah. And you need both. But I definitely, the tables were definitely tilted. Oops.
Oh, you're fine.
Definitely tilted towards the street smart side of me. Patrick, if you see this, you know this is true, but I begged my clinical coordinator. I was like, can I just go and do clinicals on the street and learn stuff there instead of doing book work? Like, this is how I learn. I'll pick everything up. I'll learn it all. And he's like, it's not the way it works. Because, yeah, I don't study well. I'm not good at that whole, like, reading comprehension portion. Yeah. I'll read a paragraph, and then I've thought about 30 other things while I'm reading it. I was like, wait, what was at the top of that? And I zone out. But I made it through. Some parts were a little more narrow than others, but I made it through and passed my tests and passed my national registry on the first attempt, and woke up one day to text messages telling me congratulations, because my dumb self was refreshing the wrong page, so it wasn't showing me my results. So I'm refreshing. I was like, well, I'll just go to bed. And then I woke up the next day, and it's like, congratulations. Like, what page is that? Like, where'd you find this? Yeah, thanks, Google. Not sponsored. Are you sponsored by Google?
No, I'm not sponsored by anybody.
Do you want to be?
I don't know. Here's the thing. If I'm sponsored, I've got it on the wrong page.
Oh,
you might want to talk a little bit more into the microphone.
Okay.
If I end up getting sponsored by somebody, I think it'd be kind of cool. Right?
Well, what do you want to be sponsored by?
What I want to be?
Yeah, what do you want to be sponsored by?
Somebody who lets me do whatever I want. Because, like, if I get sponsored, let's say by, I don't want to say a name, but if I get sponsored by,
that's how you have to reach out for them.
Okay. A brand I get sponsored by, then they're going to be like, we want, this is the ad that we're going to send you. This is what we want you to read off of for the script. Yeah. And then you're going to have to talk about this for X amount of time. I don't want to do any of that. Like, if it's a product that I really want to use, let's say.
But if you believe in their product, wouldn't you want to promote it for them?
Yeah, but my thing is I want the freedom to do whatever I want for the ad. That's so, like, fair. I think I could create a better ad because you've got to hear my. I'm not going to say. You got to hear my Adolf Hitler skit. I have got a hilarious skit. Oh boy, it is funny, and only the guys that.
How am I going to get canceled for being the guest? I mean, it's just.
it's a skit on improper verbiage for what he wanted.
Oh no, we talked about this the other day.
So
we did. We did. I know.
Yeah, so
we laugh and roll it.
And there's one for cell phones.
Talked about this at brunch.
Yeah. And like I've got one for cell phones and cowboys, and like how like a cowboy, like some dude is like some conspiracy theorist from like 1840, and he's trying to talk about in the future there's going to be these boxes that live inside of your pockets, and it's going to tell you that's going to be hilarious, and that would be like let's say Samsung, like that'd be a skit for Samsung, like.
If you're going for Samsung,
yeah, I'd rather go for Samsung. Apple, get out of here.
Yeah, enjoy your green text bubbles.
I love them. Loser. Change the colors of them. Can you change the color? Oh, you can't.
Of my text bubbles, if I can, I don't know how.
Oh, yeah, I don't think you can.
I rely.
Developer settings. This is a podcast about you. I don't know why we're talking about me.
I'm trying to get you sponsorships.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Great. Hey,
do you use Colgate?
I don't use Colgate.
Do you want to use copious amounts of Colgate toothpaste?
Do you like
Colgate. Yeah.
I enjoy it.
Minty fresh.
I've been off the whole time.
Nuh-uh.
I am now on.
Have you just... I got all these like...
Now I'm on.
Do we need to check it?
We're going to have to redo this.
I think I nailed it. Are we paused out right now?
I just looked down on it and it's red. I'm like, oh. Hey, we'll restart it.
We're going to pause out?
Damn it, dude. That was such a good one. We're going to have to redo that. All right, so we had to take a quick break for a second, but we're back now.
Just turn your mic on. You're the host.
Yeah, so I totally forgot to turn my mic on. But don't worry, folks. It did record on the other stuff that I do have, so we'll be fine.
It's a professional set here. We have fail-safes.
Of course we do.
Absolutely.
All the time.
Yeah.
Every day. So let's go ahead and talk about, so you're from Greenwood, right?
Yes.
You went to Greenwood High School.
Yep.
You actually knew my sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
One older, one younger.
yes.
Yeah.
And
Never
then
knew
so,
you.
nope.
But,
It's a shame.
yeah.
You would have seen Fat Matt.
Fat Matt, then Skinny Matt, then what this has become.
Manly Matt.
Yeah, okay.
My mom used to call me Mighty Matt. When I was chubby, she was trying to make me feel better about myself.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You went in phases.
I did go in phases, and then I also went into cycles.
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, I'm still trying to find that machine at the gym that makes your head get bigger.
It's steroids. That's the cycles you off and on.
I don't know how many reps you had to do. I'm about
6
to.
years worth, I think.
I'm probably about to though. So
Well, what I would say is, obviously, I encourage it to
copious
everybody.
amounts.
Oh, do it
Yeah.
as you please,
Yeah.
but consult a doctor. Like, I'm not a professional.
I found a
Technically,
website. They're totally gonna send them
straight from Vietnam.
Yeah.
They're fantastic.
You do the same site.
Why do you so?
Yeah,
That's their
I
name.
have to use Google Translate to figure
Yeah.
out what's on their website.
That's their name. No, like
Yeah.
I strongly encourage it to people, but obviously, like, talk to a doctor about it. Let them know what you're taking. Get your blood work done. Discuss with them what you actually think is going to be what's best for you. If you're doing, pill form, I don't suggest pill form unless it's like Anavar or something, and you're going to be talking to them, and you're getting your liver enzymes done and all your numbers done. Like, that's what I
My liver's
recommend
pretty
it.
strong. I've made it this far. Liver's
Yeah.
taking some shots.
I will say Anavar's stronger. It is very strong anabolic steroid. But
Liver's been put through the paces every so often.
it's
Not
been
so much
something
anymore.
that I would say has dramatically increased my strength and endurance.
No kidding.
I know, for the fire department, and that's what I use it for. Is for the citizens at home.
That gas pedal gets shoved down so
It
hard.
do be,
Yeah.
the steering wheel is a struggle to some.
The 93 doesn't even have power steering.
I cut that out.
Cut that out on
Reducing
Appreciate
weight.
Good.
That's all we need. All right, man. We need to talk more about you.
I guess.
This
you-
has been more of a fun
told
intro.
me. Yeah.
You asked me to be
Yeah.
on here.
You want
So,
some
I'm sorry. We
responses?
always have a great time talking
I know.
every time, but there's people out there that
We're gonna
say
make part two.
there's people out there that say you're an ass or you're an asshole
yeah.
to people, and I could see that 100%.
Me too.
I could totally see it,
Yeah.
but dude, there's such a better side to you that I get to see all the time, and I want other people to see it.
Well, no, and that's fine. And yeah, you noticed that wasn't a shock when you when you said that. I was like, what? No,
Really?
I mean, and my thing is that it's part of my humor. People take my humor way too seriously. That I'm not just like busting balls, but I really just don't like you. Or it's because I'm honest and I don't believe in candy coating or like beating around the bush with stuff. Like, I'm going to tell you straight, and that I feel like that can't get taken well anymore, especially with the younger pups these days. 'Cause I'm getting older, so I have to say. But no, I mean, do I want to? Is that what I want on my headstone? No, but it's not. I know it's not who I am. It's a layer that people see or they perceive. But I've had people bid to my truck. Just my best friend. Let me tell you a story about my best friend. First time I ever met him, I yelled at him. And we're best friends. He's my ride or die. What's up, Brandon? So, yeah, so I yelled at him. He's been through public safety. Dad was in public safety. So he doesn't, it kind of rolled off his shoulders. He didn't take it too personal. But I tell that story. I'm like, yeah, first time I ever met him. Because people were like, man, you guys are like inseparable. I'm like, yeah, it was the first time I met him. I yelled at him. It was on a run. I didn't know him from Adam. I just knew he's a guy that works here now. And I was calling a report to a hospital, and in the background, somebody said something funny, and there was laughter, and I was like, stand by, and let off, and I was like, can I give a report without laughter in the background? And then it got really quiet in the back of that ambulance, and I was like, I'm sorry. So anyway, we have this person, yada, yada, yada. But then people would ask him, like, oh, man, you're on the truck with Evan? How's that going? And he's like, man, I think it says more about me than it does him, but we get along well. And then we just progressed, and other people have done the same thing. They're like, he's not as bad as what everybody said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because took the time to get to know who I am and like the compassion I have for teaching somebody. You know, if you come to me with a question, especially in EMS, because that's kind of where my forte is at this time, but you come to me with a question or like, hey, I had this run. Do you think everything went okay? Like, I will spend the rest of my life talking or teaching about it, because I love expanding the mind of somebody. Now, if you don't want to learn about it, or if I'm like, hey, can I teach you something? And you're like, not really. Okay, you've made your decision. I don't need to put any more effort into it. But if you seek out, and I'm not saying I'm the smartest one ever, because I'm not, but I have experience, I have knowledge, I've been through some weird stuff, and I've always told people, anything I've ever learned, I've screwed up first. So if I can keep you from screwing it up your first time, that's a life lesson you don't have to learn. I learned it for you. So,
well, it takes confidence too to do something like that, because I know for me, like, I wouldn't want to ever say anything when I was newer.
Right.
I never wanted to go talk to the older guys of information that I knew, because I didn't have the confidence to go up to them and be like, you know, this is the reason why I did this.
Right.
And hey, did you guys know about this hose load? That's a lot more different in this way, even though we haven't done it like ever before. We're going to go ahead. I think it would be better if we switched to it. It came down to a confidence for me, but also like, I was like, I don't know every detail about it. So if I don't know every detail about it, I probably shouldn't talk, because then I'll look like an idiot if I'm questioned about it.
They asked me one question about it.
You asked me
and
one.
I don't know the answer to it. My credibility's gone.
And
we
that's
came
tough.
from a big generation of this. Excuse me. This is no, I have a piece of ice in my mouth. And I know I have a mic in front of my face too. But we came from a big generation of this is how we've always done it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the old adage that there's two things in public safety that we hate: the way things are and change.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's some of the things. You go, hey, what about this? You're like, nah, we've always done it this way. Because it's scary. It's something different. Like, we were good, but it's proficient. We're getting this done like this. Why change it?
Why do you really think the root cause of that is, of the fear of change? For grown men who run into house fires,
Right.
Why do they have the fear of change?
Because I think, that's a good one.
You can take your time. Take your time to answer that one.
No, and I think the things that we change technically aren't broken. You know, they're just not the most efficient. The way things were being done, they're not broken. They still worked, you know, but is there a better way to do it? Yeah, and we developed that through people training, people devoting their life to which hose load should be deployed in a 2-story apartment. Which one should go to a house with a very short front yard, like that type of thing. But they come from you get the hose off the truck and flake it out, get it filled, and go to work. So it wasn't broken. We did the same thing. Just like the front bumper load you showed me the other day. I was like, yeah, we've always loaded that, but you put that one loop in it, and I was like, whoa, that's more efficient because it's faster. Is somebody else going to like it? Probably not. Maybe not. But for you and I sitting there talking about stuff, since I was driving your primary engine that you drive most of the time when you're not in the seat for months on end.
A year.
12 months
But I'm
on
not
end.
counting.
No. Neither is the guy that usually is sitting there.
Yeah, he's not either.
But, yeah, I mean, is the front bumper line or the 5-inch gonna get pulled off? Yeah. Have you found a different way to do it? A better, more efficient way? Yeah. Is it the Stumpo load? No.
Nope.
No. But it's a way, you know, not the way, it's a way.
But that way came to me only by making a mistake on the fire ground when I went to go pull it one time. Right. And it was, I'll explain it real quick. It's our front suction line or front intake or front intake. And it's a 5-inch vinyl hose, and it's folded either forward, back, or side to side. Right. It was folded side to side. And I grabbed it, and the hydrant was if the engine, we just barely pulled past the hydrant. It's at the officer side door,
okay, so it's back
about
a little bit.
10 feet off the road.
Pull past a little bit.
Yeah, so I pulled past it just a tiny bit. The house was still behind me, and I go to grab it to go pull it, and I just grab it, and instead of walking away from the engine completely towards all the way out of the bed. I grabbed it, took a couple steps out and then around, and it got caught on every single one of the folds.
Every fold.
And it was folded side to side, which you'd think it'd work really well, but it just didn't.
Just hung
So
out, yeah.
it took me a couple extra seconds because I had to go back and grab it, and pull it out. I'm like, you know what? That could be better. And it's embarrassing, like, because I think of it as the public watching, and they're like, this guy didn't even know his job. Like,
Yeah. Like, why does he have to go back to the
why
truck
is he
every
going back
time?
to the truck
Yeah.
to get it? Yeah. So
It's
like,
his third time back.
it's only 5 feet long.
Where'd they find this guy?
So like,
25
to
feet
me,
from
it was
there?
embarrassing because it's
Yeah.
like, that's not fast and efficient for me.
Yeah.
And so that's when I went back and I was like, I'll fold it forwards, but like at the second or third, my third fold is going to be a loop.
Right.
And let's see how that goes. And then I tried it and I literally just take one step and I pull it out and the whole thing's out. So
Right.
I'm like, for me, that's what works. I like it best. That's just me.
And with us, we're going to loops on everything. I mean, loops are the key to deploying appropriately. And I've told guys now that I'm full time and not, because as you know, but they may not. So when I was part time, I had a position that was called reserve pool. So I floated around. It wasn't at one specific house. It wasn't at one specific shift, but it was, I get to work with whoever I wanted to, whenever I wanted to, if there was an opening. So I kind of phoned a lot of things in. As long as I was getting all the hose out of the tray or out of the bed, I was doing it just the way I needed to. And then it wasn't until recently that the correct way was, not that mine wouldn't have worked, but I wasn't doing things as efficiently. But now I understand the loops and how you're gonna deploy and which one you grab, which one your other guy grabs or whatever. But yeah, it's a lot better what I was thinking for the last 10 years. I'll give it that. So,
Change is
kudos.
important. Change is
Yeah.
extremely important in the fire service because if we did not accept change or accept growth,
Right.
then we would be stuck
Right.
in the past. And then what happens when you're stuck in the past? The future just shoots beyond you.
Yeah.
And once you do that, then you're playing a game of catch up the entire time with a group of guys who have just stuck in the same ways. I'm not saying that's only the department we work at because it's
No,
not.
we're not
It's-
even talking about the department.
We're not even talking about our department. Who?
Yeah.
What? Green who?
Affiliated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
we're
whatsoever.
talking generally.
Yeah, I am talking generally across the fire service.
Right.
This is not a phenomenon only known to Greenwood or
Right.
White River or Bargersville or Indy or a Green Cat, whatever. You put in a fire department. Who I don't even know. Do they even have a
Were you
fire
going for
department?
Greencastle?
No.
Oh.
God, no.
I don't know where you were headed. Yeah. You were like green, and then you just.
I was like
you tailed out.
Greensburg, Greenfield. It's
I think all the greens have
anything.
a brigade
Any
of
woods,
sorts of
greens,
things. Yeah.
yellows. Well, that's so. It's almost like Village People from Austin Powers when he does that. Only 2 people will get that because they're the only 2 watching. It's thanks, Mom. So
Yeah. Thanks, my friends too.
yeah, thanks
Thanks everyone I've told.
everybody. This is going to be
Yeah.
embarrassing for us.
Hi, Mom.
I have fun with this. But it's a phenomenon that's known to all fire departments. And then I think that our department was very, very good at being, this sounds so bad politically, but progressive. But the word progressive is in moving forward, not as in politically progressive. So I don't know. Well, that's where you get into territory. But I'm fine with that because I enjoy that stuff, but I won't do that to you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say or
yeah.
stare at you like yes.
America first.
Go off your face. I like it. Don't like it. Don't like. Yeah. Don't like.
So like with the fire department being more progressive in education and
Yeah.
progressive in forward thinking,
Right.
I'm not talking about certain political stuff. I'm talking about as a fire department as a whole. And I think that a lot of departments have slowed down because the guys that came in, this is across the board, the guys that came in that were like, this was the best department, this one's the best, I've got hired for here, I earned it, I earned my right here. And then they stop. They stop doing the trainings. They stop educating themselves.
Right.
And they stop moving forward and looking at. We have so much information out there now. Like you obviously have seen it all the time. Like you go to Instagram, you follow any firefighter page,
Right.
they're going to be talking about stuff they're doing at their department in education. Right. And you look at anything on Facebook. I mean, the conventions, even the academy you went to
Right.
for Johnson County for the new firefighters that got hired. We'll talk about that there in a minute.
Yeah.
But even talking to guys that have come from other departments, it's going to increase your knowledge. Like you probably have heard stuff that I've never heard unless you talk about it or else I was in that academy.
Well, like that night I used, what was the word I used?
I don't even know.
Orthostatic hypotension.
Yeah, there you go. That sounds like the exact word. Yeah.
That was a word. Yeah.
Is it still a word?
It's still a word. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Blew your mind.
It did because I did not expect to hear.
Apple juice on there.
Yeah, I did not expect you whatsoever to say a big word like that because that was like a $2 word right there.
So that's another thing that I always found hilarious. Like I find a lot of weird stuff hilarious. Mm-hmm. Mainly like inconveniences I find hilarious, but so guys at Greenwood or a department that I worked part-time at.
Previously
part-time. It would be so funny to like, because I was working in Indianapolis and that was day in, day out what I was doing as a medic. And then I would come down here and like the day, like I remember a run that we walked in and the guy just looked bad. Local eatery just looked bad. Like from the door, I did that assessment and I said, I don't like this at all. You shouldn't be that sweaty while eating your lunch. So, and that color, that's not your color. So I was like, all right, let's get the monitor on him. I'm going to line in him. I felt down. He didn't have a radial. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, can I just step? I go, I wouldn't stand up at all because I think you're going to fall down. I said, the reason you feel bad is because your body is telling you to stay low. So I wouldn't move. I said, your blood pressure's low. And he was, I think in the 60s, maybe systolic, the top number. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
On the monitor where it pops up at the bottom,
thank God.
above the slash, that's going to be your top number. That's just for Matt. Yeah, slash.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, I threw an IV in him. I got fluids running and stuff like that, and we got passed on a report to the medic. And I was like, "Hey, need anything?" She's like, "No, I'm good." And we left. And the guys were like, "Whoa, man!" You're like, "Good on you." And I'm just like, for starting an IV, because they don't see me often. Yeah. And I mean, we're transport heavy, right on top of you. So I didn't get to do a lot of ALS stuff. That was the joke I made when I got Medic of the Year. The first question was like, for what? Like, I didn't do it. I can't remember one single IV. I can't even remember like blood sugar.
Where you came from. You came from like, obviously the run loads between Greenwood and Indianapolis are completely different. Oh, yeah. And you came from a very busy department where you're doing, how many runs a shift were you doing on the medic?
When I finally bid, as a medic, when I bid to the truck that I stayed on for my time as a medic before I left, that was the busiest truck in the city and state. We were averaging, I didn't run the numbers, but over 12 a shift in 12 hours. At one time, I think somebody looked it up, that truck was 4th in the nation for busiest ambulances. This is all unresearched. I'm not documenting anything, but I had heard things. But yeah, so we were no strangers to get going.
So to you, for us at Greenwood, I mean, a normal day at Greenwood could be anything from 0 runs a day, which is not very often anymore. Common, yeah. It's very rare to have those, but around, between 5 to 12 runs in a shift, that's not uncommon. I mean, that's the average now. And when you have a medic transporting, they're gone for up to an hour, hour and a half. 40 minutes minimum, really.
Depending on
where they're going and what's going on. But so for us at Greenwood to see something like that right away, and we're not medic heavy either on engines, and we don't have any on ladder. Well, we have one on ladder or rescue, whatever. So that stuff does
whichever's in service at the time.
Whichever's in service. The ladder's always out of service, but that typically is pretty impressive to us, and also with the service that is provided is not as motivated or aggressive is what we would like to see. But why are firefighters so aggressive on scene? Not aggressive in a mental state of being angry, but aggressive in EMS.
They see a job and they want to do something.
Exactly. So why do you think that
jumping in, and I've had this conversation with people like, well, I didn't know what you were doing. I'm like, you didn't know that we're just going to go to work. Like, that's how we work here. I've had to have that conversation before. Like, we're not trying to step on your toes. We just don't wait for direction. Like, we see something that needs to be done, whether it's putting a blood pressure cuff on or what, but like all hands on deck, we kind of get in and divide and conquer. It's not just one guy. Like, you're the newest, go talk to him. We're fortunate in that. I've been around some crews that don't want to do anything. They don't think they should be on the run. And that doesn't help anybody, because you get 15 things you need done in about 3 minutes and you're doing them all. And that's where that run volume, I mean, we had very short transports because we were close to the downtown hospitals. So that's kind of where we could make a turnaround and get back on. But with short transports means you got some stuff to get done in a short amount of time. And that's where I started thriving, excuse me. But during medic school, I worked with preceptors that I knew were like chargers, they went fast, they were proficient, they were smart, they saw it before it, presented itself, that type of thing. And they worked fast. And then I worked at one of my preceptors, she would always tell me, like, on a cardiac arrest, you either get the IV or you get the airway. And in my head, I was like, okay. So like the next cardiac arrest, I ran in, threw an IV in, pushed an epi, and then like booty bumped her out of the way to do the airway. Did she playfully yell at me it's because she wanted hands in to do stuff too. It's not the fact that she wanted to take things away from me or like she didn't think I could do it. She was, even being a preceptor, she wanted to go hands on. She, it's tough for a preceptor that's a go-getter to go hands off. Mm-hmm. It was hard for me when I became a preceptor. I'm like, well, what do you want to, what do you see? And I'm just like sitting on your hands, because you're teaching somebody that hasn't walked where you've walked yet. And it's tough, and you want them to, they got to crawl, and then they got to walk, and then the next thing you know, they're running. And that's the best feeling as a preceptor, to see what you brought up to start running on their own, and seeing things and making those decisions. That's not just cookbook medicing and like, well, step A is we have to do this, and then we have to do that, we do step B. They're thinking for themselves, and they're seeing the big picture. They're educating while treating, that type of thing. And that's what I always expressed to my students. Some took it well, some took it as me being too hard on them, because I'm like, that report's not going to hold up in court if you take it to court. Not that it was going to, but that's the mindset I took with every report I wrote. Am I going to take this to court? Like, is this going to hang me in court? So leave no stone unturned, no question unanswered. Like, I was just very conscious of how I documented and how I did stuff on runs. But so her as a preceptor, I mean, yeah, she wanted to get her hands in there and not be all hands off, but I wanted to show myself first and foremost, but her, like, I can handle this. Like, I can handle the IV. I can handle the airway too, because one day I'm going to have to. So that pushed me to be somebody that worked quickly. There were nurses that I told them, like, you guys, like, we pull up on a complete shit sandwich and we deliver it to you with a bow on it the best we can in a short amount of time in a moving vehicle. So yeah, if it's not as clean as you wanted it to be, I'm sorry, but we're trying to get you guys set up so that you guys can take over the best you can. So it was somebody who was griping about something.
Do you think letting somebody fail when you were precepting is an important lesson, or do you think that's too much of a serious moment to let that happen?
Definitely if somebody's circling the drain, I'm not just going to sit there and be like, well, how'd that go for you? Like, you have to intervene at some point. But there are times where it may be better to let them go down a little bit on a wrong path. They think it's this when you clearly can see it's this, but it's not a life or death thing. That would make you a bad preceptor. Like, why did he die? Like, well, I saw it, but I needed them to learn this. So no, I would jump in if it was that. There's times that we can talk about it after the run and have that person be at the hospital alive and the doctors and the nurses working on them and stuff like that. But no, I wasn't gonna I was going to jeopardize the well-being of the poor grandma.
As you're there at the funeral, be like, I could have prevented this, but
listen, she should have known this was this.
Wanted to be all John Wayne. Do you think that John Wayning sometimes could be a good thing?
Yeah.
Why is that?
In small doses. I think thinking for yourself, not doing it. I mean, you got it. You can't be a risk taker like every single day, but there's risks you have to take, and they have to pay off more.
Give me an
example.
example.
Than not. I mean, what you got to think about what you're risking. I can't think of one right off the bat. You put me right on the spot.
Wow.
But
you should have came prepared.
I know all my note cards, and I made a drink. That's as much prepared as I was going to chew out. But you got to know what you're risking, and if it's, I can give you an example. So, Indianapolis was, or a certain city was.
Yeah, you can say you don't work there anymore.
Yeah. Was for the fire department, it was very ambulance crews don't need to be around the vehicle if it's an extrication, or this person's passed out in their car and they're still in drive. You know, what are you going to do? Like, do you just let them wake up startled in drive where they can mash the gas, or you know, so what are you risking for what you're benefiting? And we had a guy passed out in drive-through. Car was in drive. I ended up reaching. Well, actually, the engine crew, like, we beat on the windows. The cops beat on the windows. Nobody could break them. It took a Halligan to finally, and this guy didn't move. Like, I'm like searching to see if he's breathing because it was dark out. It was cold, so he had a jacket on. Well, anyway, we finally get the back window broke. I reach in, undo the lock, open his door. I can tell he's breathing because he's snoring. I immediately reach across him. I mean, like, fully across him. Throw his car in park, take the keys out, throw him up on the dash, and then we start trying to wake him up. And the only thing I could see, like, reach to get him to respond was that little real tender spot on the side of the leg. So I gave him a pinch, and he came up swinging. So I blocked. I pushed his head forward so he couldn't hit me. Cops, the IMPD got in there and dealt with him and pulled him out of the car. And it was kind of a soft standoff-ish. I mean, he tried to dive into he had no idea what was going on. All he knew was that somebody took the fat on the side of his leg and went 180 with it, turned it 450. And so he starts swinging, and now he's on the ground, and he's just confused. But we put him up on the cot, and immediately, in his front pockets right here, I see a handle of a gun. And I look back on that, I'm like, well, yeah, it's a risk. Like, he very easily could have woken up and immediately, muscle memory, somebody's in my car, not know who I am. But also, I could have woken him up. He mashed that gas pedal, runs over me, runs over my partner, runs over another crew. I took that risk. So that, well, so a little John Wayne-y.
They could use the argument of, and I'm just thinking for devil's advocate here,
right,
is, well, that's the reason why we have EMS personnel stage away.
Yeah.
That way you guys don't get injured. Yeah. But what my argument would be,
you can't stage for something that you don't know is unsafe.
Exactly. So I know for me, typically
DT for EMS 101. Yeah. I used to teach a class. It was defensive tactics. For EMS.
See, so that's where I'm getting at with this. It's like, we can't always sit there. We have a job to do.
Right. And
our job, yes, is there are times where we have to put our safety on the line for the protection of others. Now, what could that have done? Let's say he's in a drive-through and there's a little family walking across in front of his path, and he finally
almost
wakes up.
Exactly what it was, actually.
Yeah. So, like, our job then, imagine the media saying, well, there's a picture, here's video here from the McDonald's. I don't know where it was at. At the McDonald's.
Wasn't a McDonald's.
Oh, God.
Steak and Shake.
Steak and They do that good ice cream stuff there. Milkshakes.
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't happen no more.
Yeah. There were a lot of cameras out there.
Yeah, so like all they say is
flashing lights.
The ambulance is parked out here. They're sitting in the ambulance because they're waiting for the scene to be safe, or they're waiting for the fire personnel to get there. They're just standing there with their bags and the cot right next to them. Just like, well, we're told this is our protocol. And then he runs over a family and kills the kids, God forbid. Like, that's the situations where it's like
we just stood by and watched that.
You stood by and watched and you didn't do anything. You're going to get roasted more if you didn't intervene and try. If you make the attempt and something happens, you made the attempt and you tried. Yeah. Would he have woken up and been like, "Oh, cool, man, I'm in drive. I should
I'm
probably
sorry.
put it. My bad, guys." Like, no, that's probably not what's going to happen.
0.4 right now. That's my bad.
I did not mean to drink that much alcohol.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But that's the
I
stuff
just
that
opened
the media...
this one in my cup holder. I haven't even drank any of that one.
But that's what the media doesn't see. That's what the people don't see, and that's what makes it a difficult decision.
The public, the keyboard warriors, whatever you want to call them, and I'm probably gonna get some death threats or whatever. But you've got protection, right?
As in a firearm?
Well, no. I mean, like, you're insured, right?
No.
No. I mean, I think you see all these people that immediately they turn into lawyers. Mm-hmm. They immediately turn into police officers, the best police officers. You know, they turn into firemen, they turn into paramedics, and just crucify people. And unless you've been in that situation where there's been some things that have been in the news where I've been in a similar situation in my own life and on duty and stuff like that, where I'm like, yeah, that's not how that went at all. Or you see these videos, and I watch them all the time, and knowing the knowledge that I have from the experiences I've had, I get what they're doing, or I get what they were going for. But John Q. Public, watching it, and they're like, oh, he's just so mean and this and that. And they don't see what we see or why we do what we do. It's irritating because you just want to scream, but you're like, I'm just gas on their fire. Like, they're just, I mean, making a comment on stuff, you just get it thrown right back at you. Mm-hmm. And it's almost not worth it, but you want to scream and be like, you guys have to pay attention. Like, just listen to us for a second with an open mind. This is what we deal with. This is why we dealt with it. And there's some videos out there where I'm like, yeah, guy's totally in the wrong.
Yes. But if you can call those out, it only verifies you much more. Right. I can give an example of a situation that we had where, I mean, I'll be very honest about it because there's no reason to lie. Right. So me being in the seat, the medic gets called out for a medical alarm. They get there, they can't get into the house, no one's answering the door, and they're like, hey, we really need to check on this to make sure the guy's okay. And because the medical alarm company's not getting a response back, the alert's going off, possible cardiac arrest, whatever it is. We get there, and then we force the door open after we tried multiple attempts and windows and the back door. We tried to even jimmy the door slightly so that way we can at least push it open.
Through the lock?
We did not do through the. We went through the door. Don't tell John Molinaro sauce. John. So we ended up forcing the door and getting in there, and at this point it's late at night. I don't know what time it was, and we're searching the house. We're cautious as we're searching too, which is what you should be. You shouldn't just be barging into doors.
Right.
We find a locked door. We knock on it. Someone finally answers. These two teenage girls, when they're acting kind of weird. Now, to me, I try to stay back because my officer, I observed him a lot, Chris Harrell. I observed him a lot when he was in the officer because I drive, so I'm just kind of looking back at him, seeing what he's doing. And he obviously takes a step back, and he's checking, when he walks in, he's checking other rooms and stuff as we're walking in. If you know Chris's history, then you obviously know why.
Well, so him and I did the same things on a lot of times.
So when you got guys walking into rooms, I've learned from him. I'm just starting to check, even if we're in a nice home. I'm still checking other rooms, and I might be like, "Oh, you like the portrait in here?" I'm just looking to make sure there's no people in here, because a dog or something. So that she ended up, we hear a dog barking, and from the sound of the bark, you can tell this is a larger dog. I said, whatever you do.
This dog doesn't have a sweater on. Yes. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
And if he does, his name is Spike. It is Dominic's. It's something that's going to murder me. Yeah. And I said, whatever you do not open that door, because I don't want that dog coming out here. No, he's fine. He's fine. From the barks of it, from the barks of him, I don't care. Yeah. I will kill your dog if he's coming after one of me or one of my guys. Right. I will. So obviously, guess what happens? She lets the dog out, and he comes up and he goes to nip after one of my guys. I think he did get one of the guys in the elbow. Right. And I said, kill that dog. I was 110% serious. I will. And it was a pit bull. I have one. She's in here somewhere. She's roaming around chasing children right now.
She's roaming the neighborhood. We'll get her when we're done here.
Yeah, this will be fine. Yeah. But I have one. I know the bite force. I know what damage any dog can do.
Oh yeah.
I was 110% set on murdering that dog.
Yeah.
Why?
As was the dog to you.
As the dog. And he was running
Maybe,
around and goes to nip after one of the guys, and he's growling and barking. And I'm like, this is a situation I'm supposed to be in control of. Right now, I have an uncontrollable object right in here that I need to take care of before one of my people, no matter how much I love them or hate them, I have to protect them. That's my responsibility. And that was something I had to explain to one of the guys. He's like, I think you overreacted a bit, which I needed that call out. That call out because that gave me more respect for him.
Right.
But I still stand by what my decision was. Now, she did get the dog after a couple seconds of him running around and trying to nip at people and get him out. But we're in his house. I get that.
Yeah.
As we were trying to leave, as we're getting out. But I'm like, if he bites one of us, I am killing him. Why? Because I have to protect my people. We're there for a reason. We're there to provide a service. Now, do I let one of them get mauled and just like, well, can't kill the dog. We're in their house. I mean, depending on who it is. So like, that's true. So like,
if
that's
it's
a joke.
Bleep. Do you have a censor button on
If
it?
it's Ian Garrison, of course. No, like, it's,
he has a great locker that I've taken over. I'm really appreciative.
He's got great locker space.
Dryer sheets that he left in the bottom.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks,
so
Ian.
like, that to me is I have to protect them.
Yeah.
Now, should I have left everybody, like get everybody out of there, then she can go in there and the dog's running around free? That's not the way. In a perfect world, that's how that would work. Now, what did I learn for the future reference? Don't even let her go in there. Hey, do you think your grandpa's here? I don't know if he's here. Cool.
Yeah.
How about this? Since there's a dog in there, we're going to go downstairs, and that's what I'm going to do from the future on. But in that situation, like my job is to protect these people, protect my crew, because if I make them into victims, I've just created a whole scene of chaos, and I don't know what can transpire from that. So,
that was, I mean, I kind of had, I totally see where you're coming from, but I've been in that situation where, you know, you get to somebody's house, they're like, he's back here, but this dog is just like loses. And I'm like, oh, get the dog, like put your dog up. It's like, no, he's back here, he's fine. And it's not the time to go like, he's fine for you, ma'am, but maybe not for and you have to be like, put your dog away.
Yeah.
Like, put your dog somewhere else. We're not coming in your house. You know, and that kind of, that clarity opens up. Like, we're not going to help your husband unless you put the dog away, because maybe that dog is going to lick us to death. Or he gets my
But we
throat.
don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't know. And I ran into this a lot working downtown, of not with dogs, but let's see how I can safely say this. Lesser educated individuals.
There's a lot of those.
Right. But I don't be like,
have them.
dumb people, because I fit right in that category.
Oh yeah, I'm dumb too.
But you should see me play trivia. I end up wadding up my answers and just chewing on them so nobody else sees them.
Well, they look like Skittles on the backside.
It's true. But, and I've always told people, like, watch how you got to read your audience. You know, if you know you're going up to somebody that probably doesn't have a master's or PhD or any college, like, why are you, just because you know what hypertension means, just call it high blood pressure. Hypertension is a big, scary word to somebody that doesn't understand. Like, they think you're talking above them and they get threatened by it. So with the dog situation, it's kind of the same thing. Like, you get somebody backed into a corner because they think they're being disrespected. They think they're being talked down to. And it's just one word. It's just a word we learned in our class. It's nothing to do with them, but you almost lose the buy-in from the individual you're talking to or the patient. And I've seen it. And people get snooty with, you know, like, do you have high blood pressure or do you have hypertension? Like, no. Like, what do you take this for? I take that for high blood pressure. And then they like want to pass their knowledge all shitty onto somebody. Like,
That's knowing your clientele.
I was like, okay, like, you know it, I know it. This guy still knows it is high blood pressure. It's fine. Like, we've all said the same thing, just different ways. You don't have to call him out on it, and then you could tell that guy legit was like, oh, I'm trash. Like, and we lost him a little bit. And I'm like, hey man, like, and I started having another conversation with him just to bring him back on our side, to let him know that he could trust us. And that's where the street smart that we were discussing. I don't know if it was before your mic was turned off or what.
I don't know. I mean, the more I think about it, I did mute it from here. So there's going to be some part of it that is muted out, which is, don't worry about it. I didn't say anything important.
No.
I did say something cancelable.
You get completely into it.
Yeah.
I don't think you can just say Hitler's name and get canceled.
You can't say Hitler's name in YouTube. You can't say Adolf Hitler on YouTube.
So now I'm canceled too.
You're canceled.
I
I'm
repeated
canceled.
it.
But double canceling is canceled out.
They canceled that, yeah. 2
We're
wrongs.
fine. We should be fine.
They're
No,
right,
I think my channel is so small it won't matter.
Yeah. They're like, we should audit more with Stumpo next. Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, we're going to go get this David Dobrik kid.
Yeah, he should be. Don't even get me started
We need
on
to
that.
be looking into this Mr. Beast guy.
Oh, no, not him, though.
No, I love Mr. Beast.
I love Mr. Beast. He's
Yeah.
awesome.
I love Mr. Beast.
But that's knowing your
Big fan.
clientele. He is a huge fan. I would love to be sponsored by Mr. Beast. That'd be awesome. I love your burgers. I eat them once a month because for my figure. That's coming down to knowing your clientele. Yeah. And that's the thing is it's common verbiage for us. Like if I were to say, what would it be? The triple Z load.
Yeah.
What we used to
I
have,
was
right?
just thinking these same things.
You talk about triple Z load and you go like, oh, well, we have triple Z loads. People are going to be like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like if you take the hose all the way out and then you lay it on its side, it looks like a big old Z. And they're like, okay, that makes sense. And there's 3 lines to make a Z, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
But
how
if
do
I
you
sit
not
there-
see this?
Yeah, idiot.
It's a letter of the alphabet.
Do you not know your ABCs?
Exactly.
Have you not heard the Michael Jackson song? Like,
Yeah.
So then you sit there and talk about
no,
it
that's in my
with
head,
them,
thanks.
or you go with the Minuteman load. And if I'm sitting there talking to a normal person, when I say normal, I'm talking about civvy or civilian, and I'm like, oh yeah, we have. Don't worry, I was in the
You
military.
point at me so much when you said that. Talking about a normie.
Don't worry, I play Call of Duty, man. I've served. That's a joke. That is a joke.
If we're going on getting sponsored or reaching out to our people, I've never laughed harder than Tom Segura talking about how he surfed for his country because he got a VR headset and
Yeah.
he plays like a war game. He was like, you don't know what my guys have been through. I've laughed so hard at that.
It's a good
Thanks,
joke.
Tom.
It's a good joke too. Like because
We're
I was
reaching out to
playing
everybody on
Call of
YouTube
Duty.
right now.
We could totally do it. You know, I reached out to David Goggins on an Instagram post. Did
Yeah.
you see that?
I didn't.
So there's a picture. If you go to my Instagram, you see the first pin picture.
Uh-huh.
You click on the comments, go in there, and David Goggins actually responded on my post.
Did you fangirl out?
I
Yeah.
called people and everything. I called my mom, my dad, my brother. I called my brother first, then I called a few buddies, and I was like, "Hey, look
I mean,
at my
that's
Instagram
cool.
right
Like
now."
any person of status replying to your stuff.
Yeah, somebody,
Yeah.
you know, it's somebody who I look to for a lot of encouragement and motivation. And
Yeah.
to me, that was a big deal. And it was a cool picture too, you know, but it comes down to knowing your clientele. Like there's going to be certain areas where I can talk with people differently, and that it's reading body language. It's reading, it's understanding how to talk to somebody. I know for me, if I'm going, you know, a little bit further south from here, if I'm going to like Tennessee, Kentucky, I know that I'm going to talk with a little bit like, I'm not going to pretend like I'm an upper class citizen and coming down talking to the locals. I'm not. I'm just going to be normal self when I go to talk to them.
Right.
I may draw on some words. That way it's like, I'm not sitting here and they're like, oh, you're a northern boy. Like they can definitely tell, but it's like, I want to be accepted in your guys' crowd. But when
This
I go,
guy's definitely going to eat the crayons if we give him a placemat.
exactly, 100%, the red one stays the best. And
Yes.
then if I go up a little bit north, like I know how I'm going to have to talk to people there. Like
Yeah.
they talk fast. So you got to talk a little bit faster to them.
Yeah.
You draw on your words with further south you go. And then when you go like down to Florida, that's where you get your old geriatric people. And then you just got to repeat
Be
yourself.
louder. Yeah.
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 Which is the most annoying thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't enjoy doing is repeating myself a bunch.
I went up to, I was in Wisconsin. It was an ambulance transfer from Bloomington Hospital because I worked in southern Indiana when I started. And we had to take a transfer. We thought it was weird that they called us the night before and like, you guys need to be here right at 7. We were like, yeah, that's what time we clock in at 7. We're like, you guys got to be like ready to go. We left at 7, went to Bloomington or B-House as we always called it. And we ended up having to go up to Wisconsin. I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to say it wrong. And then we're totally going to get canceled.
Saskatchewan?
No, I used to, when I told people, I was like, we're going to Waukesha. I was like, we're going to Waukesha. It's like Waukesha. Yeah. But when you look at it on paper, you're like, Waukesha?
Waukesha, she lives downtown, man.
Yeah, I know Waukesha. She don't live that far. But, so we take this like sweetest woman ever. She just, I mean, it was unfortunate. She's got cancer. She wanted to just be with her family. And that's where she wanted to last little bit. But sweetest woman. I had my partner at the time. was a good dude, like one of those road trip dudes that you want to go to, or go on a road trip with. And so we drop her off, and we're stopping to get fuel on the way back, and paying for gas in the gas station and the ambulance. And I said something like, "Hey, how are you?" I was like, "How far are we from something or other?" And she goes, "Well, where are you from?" And I'm like, "Me?" And I was like, "Indiana." And she's like, "Oh, you got an accent." And I was like, "Me?
You have an accent.
Like, listen, Fargo. Like you got a strong northern part of it." And but yeah, I mean, I didn't talk slower or anything for her, but
yeah, no need.
But yeah, she's like, "Where are you from?" And then I've had other people who are like, "Are you from somewhere?" I'm like, "Why do I sound weird? I sound fine to me.
I'm normal.
Self-conscious about my voice."
When I was in DC, it was the same, and that was kind of fun though. So we walked around in DC, and we're going into restaurants and stuff like that. And for one, I will say about Washington DC, people are not. There's no muscular, larger people there. There's none. They're all like.
So you're a spectacle.
Oh, bro. I was a professional. I was a professional bodybuilder while I was there. I come back home. Yeah. I'm just a normal dude. You know, I'm just average. Yeah. I'm just average Matt. And so everyone there, I'm like, "Hey, do you guys have any like meat here?" Because everywhere didn't have meat. Like there was all this plant-based proteins. Like I went to some protein bar. There was a protein bar there, and I was like, looking at the menu, and I'm like, everything here is like plant-based proteins. Do you guys have like whey-bolic protein? They're like it's almost like a curse word to them, and they're like, we don't say the W word. Like the what? Like you don't say whey-bolic, and they don't have isolates. They don't have whey.
Keep saying it,
and it's like
how? And they get the manager.
Can you get put my hair on? Can you get a manager, please? But like I was sitting there like, how do you people eat? Like it's, but it's a very politically left city, so they go towards a lot of the plant-based kind of stuff, and everybody there, it's the largest gathering of runners in the entire world. Everybody there runs. And what I mean is they're not running. I mean, they're obviously running from being shot. No.
No.
That's cardio, bud.
Oh, and, cardio and a little bit of leg.
Yeah.
A little bit of leg.
I try to skip that as much as I can. But it's like you go to different areas, like obviously corn-fed people here in Indiana, like you're going to be larger. But you go anywhere, like you go over towards like DC, and people there are small. No one there had butts. Nobody had butts whatsoever. I remember that. Like I'm walking around, I'm like, there's not a single butt here. It's just all back, straight down to the ankles.
Backs and cracks all the way to their socks. Yeah.
And it was like, how do their pants stay up? Like you have to have a really tight belt on. That was what
plant-based
was
protein.
To me. But it didn't do anything to their junk in the trunk.
We're just harder to kidnap.
Yeah, you never see a fat kid missing.
I told my mom. Was
That's
driving.
Another joke, guys. Sorry, and people are gonna get like, I can't believe you're saying this.
Body shamed. No, we're just kidding.
It's until I can get to a point where nobody would care again.
I was going somewhere, and my mom, being a mom, was like, "Be careful while you're there." And I was like, "Mom, listen, no one's gonna kidnap me." And I go, and I guarantee you, one of two things is gonna happen if I get kidnapped. One, they're gonna kill me immediately. Two, they're gonna give me back. And when they drop me off on your doorstep, they're going to be crying, asking you how I got so mean. I was like...
Did you see that? Did you ever watch Malcolm in the Middle?
When I was a kid.
So I rewatched all those about 4 or 5 years ago. There's an episode where Dewey, the youngest son, was sitting in the car, and the car was stolen. And as the bandit that's driving off with the car, Dewey's still in the back, and Dewey's like, "Hi." And he turns out, like, "What are you doing, kid?" And he's just talking to him. Well, he talked so much that the guy ended up dropping him off in a cornfield. Yeah. And it's like, that's what would probably happen.
They'd be like, "This is not worth my time."
And that's exactly what it was.
They're going to kill me immediately to shut me up. I'm not worth anything. Oh, actually, I'm worth more dead, but I'm not worth anything.
As of right now.
Monetarily,
no.
Yeah. But yeah, or they're just going to be like, "Look, we're sorry. Don't say anything about it. We're just going to take you back to where we got you from." I'm like, "That's fine.
Just promise us you won't remember our faces."
Yeah, like I liked you guys. Just throw that out there. Especially you, and just like drag my finger down some guy's face.
I just love a friend.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the...
let's get back into something of substance.
I know. I'm really good at just not talking about what we're supposed to be talking about. So let's talk about the academy that you just went through, right? 6 weeks long, correct?
Yeah,
6 weeks long. 6 weeks. It was the Northern Johnson County Fire Academy. And they hired 55 people. There was 55 people in the class total, correct?
Yeah, rough numbers. I didn't do a head count every day, but I thought it was like 48. And then
Yeah, that was off, yeah.
So let's do the math here. We had 8 squads, 5 people, and then 8
45.
of the
8
put
times
your socks
5
back on.
is 45.
And like 8 of them were civilian medics
Okay.
for the other departments. So it's about 48, 50 people would be a good guesstimation. But no, it was good. And I know I've talked to you prior about this, but anybody that will listen to me about it, I have to tell them. And this isn't, I'm not trying to like gain publicity or anything like this. This is all wholeheartedly true. The jokes were made. You're like, man, you got to go to recruit school. You've been around 10 years. You know, you're 35, this and that. I was like, whatever. They'll pay me for it. I'll go. I'll listen. I'll learn stuff. Like, it's fine. It's fine. And then the jokes about EMS week, like, oh, you're going to teach EMS class? Like, it was all taken as this is all being thrown together. You know, they're probably going to have you teach stuff because they're just going to have a hole that they need to fill, and like you're going to have you go up and teach stuff, and it couldn't have been farther from it. The chiefs, the training chiefs, the captains, down to lieutenants, down to just regular dudes, truck guys, engine guys, anybody that wanted to help, couldn't have been done without everybody. But the best part was everybody believed in what the academy was doing and wanted to be there, wanted to be a part of it, because it's the first time we've ever done it. We joined 3 departments hiring classes up into one class to do recruit school. And it was good. We started off, and each squad had 5 people. After the civilian medics weren't in the academy as long as we were. They made it through EMS week, and then they started their field training time and got cleared on at their respective departments. But they were with us for other things. They worked out with us. It was still unified in our squads. Like my squad, I had 2 White River guys, me, and 2 Bargersville guys. So, and I didn't know any of them prior. So going into it, none of us knew each other. Well, yeah, none of us knew each other. So seeing that build, because like day one, they handed us Legos and they were like, here, put these together. And there was a lesson to it, and I won't get into, but like we had to work together to get this Lego set up. And I guess I'll go into it a little bit, but there was a lesson of some groups didn't have the instructions. Some groups were missing pieces. Some groups had more pieces than what they were supposed to. So you're like, did we do this? And you automatically start going like, did I do this wrong? And then come to find out afterwards, you're going to have those people on the fire grounds. Somebody has all the information. It's just a matter of if you're going to pull that information out of that person. So one of the chiefs had all the instructions in his pocket of how to build. And they were 3+, but they weren't, we weren't like building the Death Star or anything. We never would have got to do that.
6,000 piece sets.
Yeah, but we had guys like pulling up their kids' Lego apps on their phone, because that's where you got the instructions. You just put in like Lego set number 67 and it pulled the instructions.
But how
out.
awesome is that though? You've got guys there that are saying like, hey, I've got some possible information, because I know for me, like, especially like on a hazmat run,
right? Like
when I'm first in on that, and I've been first in on a couple hazmat runs, very small incidents.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, well, we got ERG books, we've got NOS report, we got whatever we have some in the truck, but also your phone is one of the best tools. And I remember I've called out to guys like Curtis Huffman was one of my backstepper for the longest time, and I would look up before
met him.
You don't know him? I'll introduce you to him.
Sorry, Curtis.
No.
I know who you are.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And I remember like
on you. Okay, never mind.
Oh yeah. And there's been plenty of times where I've got it up on my phone, I've got it up on a map page, and I've got it on the computer, and I'm like, just in case. Curtis, can you get the map up on your phone? Yeah. And he'd get it up in seconds, and he's having it ready. I'm like, are we on the right path? Like, I'm making sure, because I don't want to make a wrong turn.
Especially on something like that.
Yeah, like I've got 3 maps up right now.
Wind can affect it.
It's everything.
Are we driving right at that green cloud?
Yeah, we're going. Oh, pretty. Like,
look at everyone laying around while we have to come be here.
Look at all these. Dock them a day's wage for napping on the job. Like, that's the thing for me.
Place to sleep.
It's like, I know for me, it's like utilizing that
Yeah.
is so important. Empowering your people. I've learned
Yeah.
that from my officer that I've got, is empowering your people and giving them some responsibilities. You give them a responsibility, you never know like how far they can take it. So that's really cool that they did that test in the beginning of it.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I saw it. I looked at it from a different angle. Like, we got done with ours fairly fast because we went off the picture on the box and this and that, and we're standing around there, we see everybody struggling because they're missing pieces or whatever their problem is with their box of Legos, and I'm like, I feel like this is one of those tests where, like, we should go lend a hand to others. Like, I'm reading it completely wrong. Like, I think they're going to yell at us for just standing and not helping other people that are struggling, but it wasn't the true message, because we were just going to be too many hands at that point because they already had 5 or 6, whatever. But so that's how it started out. So we had like a little bit of team building, this and that. But as we grew, everything we did was basically squad based. You had your color squads. I was orange squad. And sometimes if it was a different scenario days where it's smaller or less numbers of scenarios, it would be like this squad and this squad, you guys are going to go around today. But on like evolution days and fireground stuff, we had stations enough to where it was just your squad. So you're basically working with an engine company plus one. And the thing I liked,
a fully staffed engine company.
Yeah, fully staffed plus a guy. Yeah.
Yeah. 5?
Yeah, you gotta.
That happens?
Like a Kelly day, and there's one guy works everybody's Kelly day. Like fifth man.
I would love a Kelly day,
Yeah, I don't know who Kelly is, but everybody seems to talk about her.
She's at front desk.
Oh, okay, front desk. It's her day. Every third day. So, but you built that. I mean, going into it, I didn't know. We all had a background somewhere. One guy had 10 years full-time, 10 or 12 years full-time. One guy had 2 years. One guy had less than that. I mean, it was just the differences. Like, we all came in for a whole of the recruit class. Most everybody came in with some sort of experience, time somewhere, whether it was less than a year or 28 years, because we had one of those. It didn't matter. We all took something from it. We all took something from each other, because, I mean, we'll use the 28 years. 28 years, how many things have changed, probably? And now you come into a department like, how are we doing it here? And you're learning something there. You're learning something that, like we talked about, somebody that's studied the way or a best, more efficient way. So we're learning from guys. It was real laid back, but they expected a lot of us. But we're in the profession of people don't have to expect a lot from us. We're gonna put out a lot. Like, we're gonna put the effort out, and if you don't, that problem's gonna take care of itself somewhere down the road. But so week one was kind of administrative. We're getting kind of things, insurance stuff, union guys coming in talking. I think it was week 2. No, yeah, week 2 was EMS. And then we moved into EMS, and I talked to you about this too, but we'll tell the fans.
Yeah, tell them all 7.
All 6 of you, listen up. But it was EMS for the public, and then what I call EMS for us, because we got information that I guarantee you that guy that's got 20 years on never heard when he got on. If he went through recruit school when he started, they never went through this. It was addressing mental health, addressing combating cancer, or like limiting your exposure to cancer stuff, even though our gear has it in it, whatever. But it's what it is.
It's supposed to, yeah.
It's good for the skin.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Absorption.
But the whole basis of it was, and the substances, stuff like that. The whole basis of it was, how do you as a young firefighter make it to be an old firefighter? And that's really what I liked about it. You came in, you showed one of your little video segments of.
No, yeah, you didn't have to talk about that.
Yeah, you were there.
I was there. Yeah.
RT, yeah. But it was very eye opening in that, from a from somebody that's now 35 and I'm not just a young kid being like, this is boring. Like I took a lot more away from it because there were some things that were in there. I'm like, I'm sorry, are you in a room of 50? Are you talking directly to me? Was that, I feel attacked. But it was good to hear that and to see, the big picture of why that it wasn't just filler. It was this shit's important. Because back in the day, how many guys didn't address it because it made you look weak, or, you don't need an air pack in there. Like, you don't need to put your mask on. It ain't that bad. Like, well, now what's that guy doing? If he's doing anything.
Exactly. While you were talking, I hope you don't mind that I was on my phone. I do apologize, but I wanted to talk about, like you mentioned, like risk, cancer risk.
Yeah.
Cancer risk is growing over every occupation, everywhere. But obviously, it is magnified in the fire service. Right. And one thing that I keep seeing a lot of, and I've had this talk before on this podcast, is a lack of sleep, a reduction in sleep. You talk about reduction in sleep and cancer risk. They go. I mean, they're starting to become more hand in hand. The more research is being done.
I'm in trouble.
Yeah, and there's a lot more than that. It's. I'm glad that was brought up because educating firemen on this and educating people in this as first responders that your risk of diabetes, hypertension, insomnia,
hypertension, low blood pressure,
high blood pressure.
Sorry,
hippos, tension, which is what people typically look like later on in their careers. Yeah,
that's fair.
But you suicide, anxiety, depression, a lack of. You look at every severe medical condition. A lack of sleep has always been part of it. The digestive issues, like everything is tailored around sleep is attached to it. So if you decrease sleep, like just take 1 hour, for example, you take 1 hour a week out of your sleep schedule. Mm-hmm. How are you going to operate? Poorly. You're going to operate poorly. Now we're used to.
I made up for some times.
Oh, good. Yeah. That's good. But you wake up tomorrow morning an hour earlier and tell me how you feel. We're doing that on shift.
Tomorrow's shift day.
I know. Do it. And you'll find out. Now I've done this experiment on my own, and it's like I have to take naps. I have to sleep more, which is why there's studies being done. There's going to be a department right now that's doing a study where they do. I know I push this all the time. I push it as a joke slightly, but also it's kind of some type of seriousness to it. That guy just walked in my grass, and
do we need to pause this and take care of it? That's your grass.
I mean, I just did some fine line work out there.
We'll let him have this pass. We'll give him this pass.
One time.
One time.
He looks over 220 though, so I mean, he definitely folded that grass backwards. I'll go back out there after this when we're done. We'll redo my lines.
If you want to switch the camera, I'll act like you're still in here.
You'll see the background.
You going past with a mower in the background. Simple lawn care. For all your lawn care needs.
Yes.
There you go.
And landscape. I know. And landscape.
I promote your business, and I'm not even on.
I could sponsor it. Yeah. But you talk about there's this department that's going to be doing a study where they do 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. now.
For shifts.
Now. Guys hate that. They hate that, but it's for sleep. Why? I'm not going to go into the whole talk about it now because a lot of guys that work with me have heard it before. I used to say it as a joke, but it is like there's some logic to it. It's very simple. Right now, how many full sleeps do you get? This is a child answer. How many full sleeps do you get right now on a 6 a.m. to 6 a.m.?
None.
We get one.
Oh, one?
You get one. Let's say you work C shift.
I thought you were asking me personally.
No.
Yeah. Full sleeps.
No, full sleeps.
Goose egg, Matt.
But let's talk about
terrible.
Let's say that's right. Let's talk about it as theoretically speaking. You'll get one, and that's your B shift. If you're on C shift, B shift, A shift night, B shift morning is your only full sleep you get. Recovery sleep. That's what we need. We need recovery sleep. We don't get recovery sleep right now. You get 1 day of it, and then the guys are like, "Well, just go to bed earlier." Okay, cool. What time do you go to bed? And how much do you get done during the day and in the evening? It doesn't happen. So what do we need to do? We need to educate, find out what works best, and we'll see. After the study comes out, I'm interested in seeing what happens.
We'll see. But I always had the joke of guys were like, "How do you do this?" And I was like, "It's it's a trifecta of what I run off of: caffeine, nicotine, and hate. Like, let's do this. Let's seize the day.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I've heard
Sorry to
similar,
go off my tangent. Yeah,
similar.
sorry
I mean, I got some rest during it. I fell asleep for 6 seconds.
You're welcome.
Adding up. But no, I've heard and listened to podcasts where they were talking about sleep, and this guy was like, yeah, if you get 7 hours of sleep, you need to knock off 10 years of your life, or like something like that. And I was like, great. Like, how am I even still alive at this point? Because I was working nights and I was doing stuff through the day and not sleeping. You know, my schedules were so thrown off, but I had that ability to work a night shift schedule and be up during a day shift type hour, and it fascinated some people. They're like, how are you functioning right now?
But it's imagine how you could function if you had the proper sleep.
Yeah, but sleep doesn't pay. And if you stop moving,
right.
They're going to start throwing dirt on you.
That 100%.
Yeah.
But is it deserving? Maybe.
But yeah.
If you're that lazy.
I'd prefer to burn the candle from both ends. And maybe start one in the middle.
My goal is to make firemen last longer in retirement. That's my dream.
In retirement?
For retirement.
Well, yeah.
Because I want
sleep
guys.
when you retire.
That's right. But my dream is to have, like, look at Larry Rockwell, just recently retired. He had his knee surgery. Thank God he had it earlier. I mean, before he left.
Right.
My dream is to have him live another 40 years. He's what, 50? 51, 52 maybe? 52? I think he's
43. He looks
10.
great.
He's 10 years old, right? My dream is for him to live another 40 years healthy. Healthy. But is that going to happen? I don't know. Because he was busy for the department a lot, like running all night long, running all day long. And that affects you in negative ways. My dream is to create the guys in the fire service and gals in the fire service. You're collected in. Shut up.
Guys is a collective. It's not. It's
So like
gender specific.
My thing is for you to last 40 years afterwards, doing whatever you want, enjoy your life. You lived a career in public service. Now it's time for the younger guys to take the mantle and for you to live your life how you want to live it. I don't care how you do it. Just live your life. And I don't want you to be walking with a cane all the time. I don't want you having a vent on you. I don't want you having to live on pills because you're in so much pain because of the career you've lived. Now, no matter how badass it was,
right.
But it's not going to be that badass when you're always going for cancer treatments all the time. I'm not saying anything negative against it. It just sometimes it just happens.
It's quality of life.
It's reducing risk.
Yeah.
But our job requires risk.
Yeah.
So there's a balance there. I do understand that there's a balance.
Right.
So back to the academy. I keep going off on tangents. I'm sorry, guys and gals listen. I am sorry, but
we're gonna be late to shift.
I don't care. No, we won't be late. It's only 9 o'clock.
I'm gonna get so much sleep tonight.
I know. Well, it's your fault that you're like, can we switch to 7:30? Well, yeah, sure, Evan. I didn't plan my entire evening around you. No,
sorry, I have a kid,
a child that I love so much dearly.
Yeah, I have the best kid in the world.
I have a daughter.
Yeah, she's running around here somewhere.
She's running around.
She gave me wiggle butts when I came in.
She is. I keep telling when the guys at work, they both have daughters and stuff, and they talk about their kids. And I'm like, yeah, I know. My 7-year-old. She was gnawing on the cage a little bit. I had to spank her.
She killed her first bird 2 weeks ago.
I was so proud. Yeah. She bit her first child.
She gave it as a gift. Yeah.
There's a meme that I love, and it's a picture of a pit bull swimming in the water, and it says heroic pit bull swam 7 miles of sea to buy a child. Now it's a joke, but
and we laugh because it's funny. We shouldn't be laughing.
Exactly. So the joke is
it's terrible. It's horrible
that it happens. It's not always pitties that bite kids. It's not. It's chihuahuas. My neighbor's
I've been around pits a lot.
They're sweet.
It's how they're raised. It's
exactly.
Like, if they want to be mean, they're raised. That's my opinion. Because all the
bit
pits
up
I've
by
been
a golden
with,
retriever. That's the only dog that's really ever.
I don't trust the little ones more than I would. Yeah, the bigger dogs, I'm like, okay, looks friendly. It's the little ones. They've got something to prove.
My neighbor Jorge, he's a great guy.
Hola, Jorge.
He's by the way, I want to shout out to him. He's lost over 120 pounds. Yeah, I want to. He's lost over 120 pounds. Like not as in like getting it sucked out of him. I'm talking about like him actually doing real work on his own. Like he's posted about his journey and stuff, dude. It's
Delilah
awesome.
bit him so much.
he just was the slowest runner.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of him. But they've got
Yeah.
a little 1 pound Chihuahua, and it's full grown.
And that's the one you have to worry about.
That's he's harmless. Like he's super
Until
cute.
he's not.
And
Until
that's
you
right.
kneel down in gym shorts. It's not harmless.
And it's
then.
just going there.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
this academy.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to help you stay on track.
I'm having too much fun, man. You know, we're already an hour over in this. Yeah.
I don't know where the time's at.
Top right. We're an hour and 10.
Oh, man, yeah.
Technically almost an hour and 20, but
Okay. We're going to have to make a part 2. Are you going to have to cut to a part 2? How long are these?
however long you want.
We're going to make this like a chapter 5.
Yeah.
We'll have one chapter that's our ASMR, and we're just...
That would be fun.
No, it wouldn't. So, anyway, what do you want to know? I mean,
I want to hear about the pros and cons of it. Tell me the bad things that happened, because what I want improvement. Because me personally, I thought it was amazing.
No, it was.
The fact that 3 departments in Johnson County came together to do this, and I hear rumors of Franklin wanting to join in on this as well, which I think
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think once a year for this, and this is talks with people that are running this. Once a year would be perfect for this. What does an academy do? An academy needs to bring in these guys that are getting hired in these departments, get them to have the same vision,
Right.
train them up, get them motivated for the job, and then the guys who really don't want to be there, it's not weeded out performance evaluation.
Right.
And if they're not cutting it, you got to get out. I mean, if you can't improve and you can't succeed, you've got to go. This is just me talking. This is not me talking for you or talking for the department.
No,
for
you're
me,
not
what I
speaking for
want,
me. Yeah.
I'm not speaking for you. No, I am speaking for Evan right now. We hate
We hate them.
I don't want the guys who are just there just for the paycheck, there for just the insurance, there for just the
They
benefits
get a
of
cool
it.
shirt, and
I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want guys who want this job. And if the guy sits there and says, this isn't for me,
more respect to him.
I applaud you
Yeah.
for being a man and standing up and saying
Right.
that now, because that's a hard thing to do. That's
Yeah.
very hard, but also it's a win, because at that point, instead of him finding out 5-10 years down the road when he's vested in,
Right.
and now he's like,
And
I
trying
don't
to
want to
save
do
my
this job.
life. Yeah.
And
Like,
he's
you know
trying to
what? I hate this.
Yeah.
Like, can you get me out?
Because it's
first,
life
though?
and death on this
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what it is. It's guys that there's been some that I've worked with that are like that, and it is so difficult to work with guys like that, because it's like that when the shit hits the fan, are they going to do the job? Can they do the
Right.
job? Probably. I hope so.
On paper, some guys are squared away, but
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
the
you put boots
educated
on the
people.
ground, and it's,
Earlier you mentioned, talking to them like they have a PhD or master's, that doesn't make you a smart person. It makes you a person who could follow rules, really, is what it is. Is like, I have a deadline, you need to meet it. Oh, he can meet deadlines. Cool. Can you perform
oh yeah,
on your, in a situation where that's where I find the blue collar guys is they perform so well in those shitty situations. It's because you have to become resourceful at that point. You're improvising a lot.
oh yeah. 'Cause we've used a wrench as a hammer several times in our lives. It wasn't like, let's go find the right hammer. Like, we have a wrench, it's heavy, I'll swing it a little harder. Like, we've had to improvise, and he've had to figure out a way to get it done. And that's in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So back to your pros and cons. We'll start with cons. Honestly, and this isn't fluff either. I can't think of anything that I would have changed. Now if we had some guys that were there, they were like, whatever, just, I don't know what you're supposed to be doing. We didn't have any of that. The instructors that were there, they wanted us to have their knowledge, and they wanted to bestow that to the whole group. We all run mutual aid with each other. We're all, at least one road away from being in their district. So it wasn't like, okay, hey, river guys, come over here. We're going to talk about this. Like, this is our specialty. Barkersville, come on down here. Greenwood, go figure out your problem. Like, whatever. It was all together. And it didn't matter if it was an instructor from this department or that department. They all wanted the same for everybody. And nothing was pushed on us either. I feel like a lot of it was, here's how the general rule of it is. You guys go ahead and do it. And then afterwards, we heard a lot of, like, not how I would have done it, but I do like how you guys did it. So it wasn't this is how we do it. Now you guys just mimic exactly what you just saw. It was, you guys all have knowledge. I have knowledge. If you do something that's going to be wrong, like, we'll correct it in the moment, but like, take the door off that car. Let me see what your way is. And then we did. We saw a lot of it. Like, not telling you how I like to do it, but it works. Or it was, you need to be careful doing it this way, just because, blah, blah, blah. What's that?
No, you're good.
Oh.
I'm just checking to make sure it's still recording.
Squirrel.
Yeah.
So that's what I really loved about it was you were getting good information. You weren't getting an outline of, hey, did you guys go through all the bullet points of how to do this? And essentially screwing up to learn if we had to, but I didn't see much of it. Pros were, again, the camaraderie that we built. I mean, I've never seen that. I mean, that's me being part of the academy. I've never seen 40 guys go from first day. We're hardly talking. Like, I knew a couple people in there going in, aside from the guys coming from our department, but I knew a couple of the other guys. Like, one I went to college with, hadn't seen probably since college, and now he's up here working for the department. And I'm like, you haven't changed a bit. Like, you grew a mustache, but you haven't changed at all. And so seeing them, and you talk a little bit, and then last day, it's kind of like, is this it? Like, we're going to go back with what's these crews that we got put with? And, you know, because I looked forward to going in and being like, wonder what me and Orange Squad are doing today, you know, because we joked around, we cut up, there was no egos. It was kind of the perfect match. Like, we had the young guy that we all could kind of help bring up and show different stuff and different techniques that we had learned while we're learning. So it was more fun that way, and the personalities of each other. Nobody thought they were better than the other one. There were jokes flying around, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how many times I got called EMS chief, Cissell, because of the opening. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not going from a black helmet right to a white helmet. Like, this shield won't look good on it. And like, maybe, I don't know. But
I think for a good example, I think a good lesson for the instructors and guys leading the academy is to, from what I'm hearing of it, is give some responsibility to the guys in the academy. Give these guys an opportunity to prove themselves a little bit. The benefit that they had was these guys had already prior experience.
Right.
But giving them a little bit of freedom on things really opened their eyes and perspectives to more. Yeah. That's what I'm understanding from this, because I hear other, like, you listen to another academy and it's like, oh, we're putting gear on again. Like, we're doing the same thing again. It's like these guys already had prior experience, which was great.
Yeah.
But involving into, let's say they add in a Fire 1 and 2, and let's say they add in an EMT basic course.
Right. So
you're gonna have that full cadre of people who need to learn this stuff. Yeah. But being treated like not somebody who has a superior to them, but somebody as an equal, really benefits the whole for the entire department, for the entire organization, for the guys that are in that group setting. Right. I think it's a super beneficial thing to have, and you have more of a positive feedback. Now, it's not candy coating everything. It's still holding people accountable, which is what needs to happen. But giving them that opportunity to prove themselves, I think, goes a long way.
I think it'll be harder. I don't want to say harder, but it'll definitely change if hopefully this continues being a thing of these joint academies. But it'll be harder to, let's say you have an academy where you get 30 people and 15 of them are right out of school and they don't have prior experience of working somewhere. And it's going to be a hell of a lot better than spending the 6, 8, 9 months trying to learn from an officer if they were just kicked out to the streets. Because we all have been there. We've had those days where it's like, hey, this afternoon we're going to go out, we'll work repetition on this. And then you get beat up in the morning and, you're just like, listen, next shift. So you're pushing it off. We didn't have that. We were dedicated to the academy. We had no other obligations. that was our job, was to be recruits and go in and learn from what we could. And I completely agree with what you said, but no, I mean, I think the structure of it, how it was, there's going to be some downfalls if they add something to it of as far as you don't have to be EMT certified. We'll put you through that. Yeah, you've got to extend it now, and you're going to have the hardships of how do we get these guys going with reps where they don't come out, high and mighty because they passed an EMT course. Because I used to tell them all the time, people would be like, hey, I passed my EMT class. I'm like, cool, throw your book away and now learn. Like, do you know the 120 over 80 is textbook perfect? Cool, now we learn. Because I did. I mean, I was thrown into it. My first shift on an ambulance was like, you're going to ride thirds. And then I showed up one day and they're like, we had a call off, so you're just going to work with so-and-so. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, no FTO period. On the fly, I had to figure it out. So there's going to be those hardships. But I think there wasn't a lack of planning, and you could see it. Every day was squared away. It wasn't like we were all sitting around like, all right, so we're 5 minutes after, so we should probably figure out what we're going to do today. Like, we knew. We had a syllabus for every day of that 6 weeks, or a syllabus day for every day of that 6 weeks. We knew what was coming. There were tweaks here and there, but it was structured. The time had been put in. You could see it, and it was appreciated because it made it go a lot smoother. So, like I told Harold, like 10 out of 10. Would do again. Should do again. Hope we do again. I was like, I just want to be an instructor this time. I don't want to be the recruits this time. Which we didn't get smoked or yelled at or anything. And which honestly, I'm glad they put in that there was no hazing, because that kind of became more of a joke, really. If Burgess would pass me, like just walk past me, I'm like, oh, hazing. It just became like one more thing that people bonded over with the chiefs or the other departments and stuff like that. So we all learned. There's a big gap in hearing about somebody else from a department, and you're like, I don't know the dude, but I've only heard bad things. Well, now if somebody that I was in recruit class with, and I hear something, I'm like, no, listen, like, I can tell you right now, he's not that guy, or something of that nature. So it's fun. It was even for me, having 10 years part-time, I took a lot away from it. I was sad to see it end, and see everybody go off to their departments. It was, I told them too, I was like, if we ever merge, if these three departments ever merge, we all have to end up on an engine together. So it's good. It was a good time.
With you bringing up a little bit of like, if they're doing an EMT course, there's going to be a lot more work involved. That's going to have to be a huge step for anybody who's possibly willing to be an instructor for Fire 1 and 2 and EMT. And then to sit there, and you got to think of the why. Why is this important? Why should I step up and do this? It's investing in your department. Yeah. I don't always say what's best for the department. I don't like that word. I like the term what's best for the citizens. Mm-hmm. What's best for the people and for the firemen sitting in these seats. What's best for them is somebody standing up and doing the work. I'm putting this, I'm stepping into this role. Yeah, don't worry. It's probably a raccoon.
Something coming to the ceiling?
No.
It's fine. I'll scoot my chair over under it.
A little bit that way. It's you stepping up and putting effort and your time into investing in the people who are going to be protecting the citizens. Because my parents live in the Twos district.
My parents live in the 91s in my district.
Exactly. Yeah. So like investing in people like that, because that's how I think of it. It's like, man, someone's grandma lives across the street from us. What do they deserve? Like when you come to my house, you are representing my name, and you're representing my department and my city that I grew up in. I've spent almost all of my life, except for the last 7 years, in Greenwood, like grew up there. Like that is my town. That is my city.
Right.
Like
these are my people.
These are my people.
Look at me. I am your captain.
I am the captain.
I am the captain.
It is my boat.
No, I mean, I completely.
That's how you have to see it and look at it.
Yeah.
But most guys, like I know for me, like if they were to sit there and say, "Hey, we need a fire instructor. Can you do it for the next 3 months?" It's like, I'm not gonna lie to you. Like that is going to be very hard for me. Like it would be very hard
because you have a high expectation of
it's not even
what.
It's not even just that. It's the time.
Is it?
Like for me now, like on shift, 100%. Every single day I will go and do it.
Right.
But like my days off, like I am working on my business like every day.
Right. Yeah.
So like that would be hard for me. Is it doable? 100% doable. But like how stressed, like I already have no hair. Like how stressed do I want to be? What else am I losing?
Choice. That was your choice.
That is my choice. Yeah.
UNT.
Yeah. That's the decision that would have to be made.
Right. I mean, and very few of us have just one job. But
and
yeah,
families
I mean,
and families too.
Yeah, I have that too. But I think when I say the expectation, I think on my side, that's whether I'm precepting, whether I was, teaching cadets, whatever. It's not so much that I want you to be me, and like the things I've known, but my name's on you, no matter what. So if I'm teaching, from the fire side, if I'm teaching somebody how to throw a ground ladder, and they throw it 6 feet short of a window, and they go, "Man, who taught him?" And then it comes back to me, like my expectations weren't met because I didn't teach him to throw it that way. He misunderstood, whatever. So I have a higher expectation. So the difficulties in the recruit class, I would say you'll have people that they can't look at it like you're coming out at a base level. Like other experience comes from worldly knowledge and doing it in the street knowledge and stuff, which you can't get in class. You get a couple clinical hours and you go from there. You don't see it all during your clinicals. If you're lucky, you see some stuff that opens your eyes and maybe makes or breaks you and helps you decide. I always said that, like public safety, you don't choose to go into public safety. Public safety chooses you, and it'll tell you real quick if you're going to be able to handle it or not. I saw more before I was 20 than some people in their 60s that didn't serve in the military.
Let's use
that I shouldn't have.
Let's talk about the example of that, because that's a perfect example to bring into why firemen and why first responders are the way they are. Because most of them, you go up to them and you tell a joke about death. Most people that, I mean,
we tell you one worse.
Yeah, like, and I won't say the worst ones because obviously,
no, we'll totally get thrown out.
Well, I was saying a few words before the camera, that wouldn't be helpful here, but like, you're on the extremes of life. Like every day, just last shift, we had a cardiac arrest, first run in the morning, cardiac arrest.
Yeah, we were training. Sorry.
And you were? Oh yeah. So did it go well? Did we have the ending that we wanted? We didn't. Sadly, we didn't. We had great efforts. Like everyone put their brains together. Great compressions, IVs.
Thank you, Firefighter Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas.
Firefighter Lucas worked his little heart off.
I started compressions on that one, and cracking ribs and stuff. But let's use the example of the people that were there prior giving compressions already. I'll tell you right now, my first pump, I felt 4 to 5 cracks and pops. So it's like they were not adequate compressions. Is it their fault? No, it is not their fault. You did this. It's not their fault. They've never been presented with something like that in their entire life before, probably. So to them, that's an extremely traumatic experience. That's their coworker. That's their friend. That's maybe their family. That could be their family. And for us, it's another day on the job. To us, it's no big deal. That's the reason why we're sitting there kind of not shooting the shit, but we're just, relaxed. Like we're like, hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? Yeah. Take a step back and think about it for a second. There's a dead guy in the room.
Oh, yeah.
There's a dead dude laying on the ground right there. And you're like, hey, did you get this done? Did you get this done? Not like, oh, did you get this done back at the firehouse? It's, hey, did you get that? Do you think that airway's, proper centimeters away? I heard, Gabe asking like, hey, did you get it so-and-so centimeters? I'm like, I'm not a medic. Like, well, he was talking to the medic, obviously. Right. So, but getting your IVs, getting your drugs ready, getting all the stuff that they were doing. The guys were doing it, but like that's not normal to an average person. So like what we're doing is completely outside of the realm.
And some of it's not normal to other people in healthcare. I've had horrific looks from nurses that have overheard me something that wasn't serious, wasn't true, or it wasn't sincere. But at the time, like, it's just our humor. Like, we have to have that because we see such screwed up shit that you have to compartmentalize and you have to laugh, or else it's just going to eat you alive, or you have to make a little joke. I mean, I'm not going to be like, you see that little Evo? Like, his wife's standing right there. You got to be tactful with it. But, I mean, I've said stuff and just gotten that whole, like, so I look over their shoulder.
It's more
like,
about displacing the humor. It's more about displacing the stress. So to do that, it's like let's use the example of. I mean, there's one that I don't really crack jokes about, but let's use the example of somebody. There's a horrific accident that happens to them. Well, everyone's quiet. You have the rest of your shift to go. Right. You have to be back on point. When you mark back in service, you got to be ready to go. Mm-hmm. If you're not, mark back out and get the proper help you need. That's important. But you've got to be back in service and ready to go for the next run, because that next run, like the example I'll give, we had a hanging. Yeah. We pull up on scene. We go in. The guy hung himself in the garage door. I hate when people hang themselves. I hate when people commit suicide. It's one of the things that makes me sick to my stomach. Not like, I can't believe he would do that. It's like, why, man? Like, just
like you solved your problem, but we created problems for all the people.
Everyone that cares about you.
Yeah.
Everybody that cares about you would, if you would call them and try and reach out to somebody, call me. I'll put my number out there. You call me. Like, I can't stand that because it makes me sick. Because it's like, I've been sad before. I've had those thoughts before, but it's like, dude, just hold on for one little bit longer. And so we get done with that run and we walk back to the truck, and right across the street's this little 5-year-old kid who wants to tour of the truck. And he's like, "Can you turn the lights on? Do it." Yeah. It's like, you go from like,
go home, Timothy. I just dealt with some shit. No, you can't.
You don't want to see your neighbor, Tim? Open that garage door. It's like, but you can't do that. Obviously it's a joke, right? But that's where you got to get out there. And if it helps you to crack a quick joke, crack your quick joke, make sure no one hears it, because it's like, you got to get back into reality. You got to get back into service. You got to get back into that mind readiness of you performing on that. Because little Timothy, he's wanting to see that fire truck put a smile on your fucking face and get back to work. Like, I'm sorry, but that's what's going to have to happen. If you're that upset about it, we will deal with it. We will deal with it in a healthy, effective way. By an EAP program, having the battalion come in and talk to you,
having the guys talk
to you. Yeah, my dog.
I'd much rather talk to a crew than this sounds terrible. Dog. A professional, you know what I mean?
Talk to somebody who does it.
Yeah, somebody's been there.
Like my dog will, I'll come grab. We'll bring the guys down here.
Been there.
Yeah, Delilah's done this shit.
Seen some shit.
She was from Speedway. Like, she was tied up to a basketball goal. She was a prostitute. Like, she was. Like, she was a mill dog. That poor puppers.
Turned out.
She was. Yeah. But we would bring her up, and it's like, it just a morale booster. And you for a minute now, you are not thinking about that guy hanging in his garage. You are now thinking about this adorable, beautiful dog that's perfect in every way.
Not biased at all.
Not biased, I mean, she's
by
cute. Any means.
She's cute.
And she is there right in front of your face. She's wanting to see you.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know what just happened, but all she knows is like, man, I love you and I'm here for you. Can you pet me though? That's all I need.
You're going to pet me. You're feeding me.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you
exactly.
You leave that jar of peanut butter right where it's at. But other than that.
And that is where you got to find that healthy balance.
Right. Even in the moment, describing, giving reports of like, so we lost pulses, and luckily Brandon saw his soul going up and he jammed his soul back into his chest, meaning the intensity that he started compressions on for this guy, like he caught his soul midair and jammed his soul right back into his spine. Like, just describing it that way was enough of a little bit of like a humor relief, just describing it in a weird way or in a funny way for us that broke up the monotony. And I've always told people, like, hey, you got to get your head right. It's not the fact that you have to forget what you saw, because bottling that up, and I'm a super hypocrite, so anybody watching this that knows me, just do as I say and not as I do. But bottling that stuff up, you have to be good for, if you're still hanging on to the last run when you go on the next run, you're no good for the next run. You're not giving your 100% to grandma with chest pain just because you dealt with a guy that whistled on his way down when he got shot on the canal. He had so many holes in him, like, there's no way he didn't. If you take that, over to this, you're not fully thinking. You're messed up with this. You're not thinking about grandma.
Even if somebody is stubbing their toe on a table, that is their emergency.
We all know people that stub their toes on tables.
Yes, and that's their emergency. We're there for a reason. Now, are you going to snap on them? I would be a liar if I were to say I've never snapped on somebody before. I'd be a liar.
Yeah.
But it's like you called for what? Right. You called for us to grab you a drink and turn your light off? I'm sorry, but right now a chest pain just came out in my district right now that somebody's having possibly a heart attack right now, and we're here turning your light off. But that's their emergency.
Right. I think that's probably one of the hardest things in public safety or anything for us to recognize or like associate is that like we see it like, man, your phone was unplugged and you get the same way and you're like, you need pulled up in bed. Like, we're the fire department. We have cool pants. We have helmets. Like, I could literally cut your throat open if I need an airway. Like, all these things, and we get on that pedestal, but we got to remember, don't get me wrong. I'm like, I love lift assist, but we're their option. Mm-hmm. We're the only thing they thought of when they bashed their toe on that table. So that, I think we could do it now because we're both off duty. We're both just sitting here shooting the shit. But when we're on duty and it's 3 a.m. and you roll in and she's like, I just needed a new roll of toilet paper. And you're like, you called 9, and I've been there. I've been 100%. I've been there. You have to reiterate their question to them. So let me get this straight. You don't know where your light switch is at. That type of thing. So that would be one of the things that we all have to, if you could just like snap your fingers, like, listen, this is one of those where we need to just think about it before we talk and just realize like, hey, here's your phone charger. Need anything else? Like, you're already up. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that was my thing. Like, I watch people work harder to try and talk somebody out of going to the hospital than just take them. I'm like, you could have already been at the hospital. I'm like, yeah, you think they don't need to go. They think the only thing they need to do is go. Mm-hmm. Just meet in the middle and go.
You could.
Just take them.
And there's things where doctors are doing the whole CYA where they're just saying, well, you need to go by ambulance. And you sit there and you talk with them and logistically speaking for that person, it's like, they're just doing what their doctor just told them to do. Right. Their doctor's always going to say, go by ambulance. I called my doctor one time and I don't see this doctor anymore because he did this. And I was talking about back pain. He's like, well, you need to call 911. You need to let them. I'm like, whoa, bud.
It's a liability.
It's a liability.
They're not going to go, Matt, your back's going to be fine. Yeah. And then you're paralyzed and then you go after them because they said you're good. Yeah, we ran it all the time. Like, well, we called the nurse number and she said, I got to go to the hospital. I'm like, I bet she did. And there's nothing we can do about it. Like, I bet she said that.
But you could sit there and talk with them about it. Like, hey, let's talk about what you have going on.
Yeah.
And evaluating from a professional standpoint and saying, okay, do you think you need to go by ambulance? And once you talk to them about it, it's not talking them out of it, but it's educating them and walking them through their decision. Cause it's like, most people don't know you're about to get a large bill. And a bill, even to me, a large bill like that is a lot. Yeah. And I do okay. And it's like, that to me is a lot of money. And I'm like, that's going to take me a while to pay off. But I wish I had somebody to talk to me and educate me on this, to explain to me. It's like, hey man, like, do you really think you need to? If I was somebody else, I didn't work in the first responder, I would have probably called 911 and been like, I need to go. He told me to go.
Because they went.
And I'm standing here waiting on them. And it's like, he told me to call 911. Like, that's
called that professional, and they're like, I called a doctor, and a doctor said, call 911. Like, there's no way I can do anything other. But then, and that's another part that I loved about working on the ambulance, being a medic, is educating people. Because sometimes, I mean, and I'm not bashing any doctors or anything like that. There's some out there that probably shouldn't be doctors. We've seen them in the news. But they're busy. They got a lot going on. Maybe they don't spend the half hour or whatever to truly explain why you're taking this medicine, what this condition is, and why you're doing this. So I always enjoyed, like, do you know why this does this? Like the pathophysiology of, like my best one was like explaining AFib. I'm like, do you understand what? Like, I know you take Eliquis and you have AFib. You can say that all day long. But do you get why? And they're like, no. And then I'm like, buckle up. And then I like go through it all. And then people understand so much more about like, oh, so that's why I feel this. Or that's, and seeing that like aha moment because I've educated somebody. And maybe they don't have to call the next time because now they're like, I get it. I understand this more. Mm-hmm. A lot of it's fear of the unknown. You know, I call my cousin all the time when I do electrical work, but I bet you if I took an electrical class and went through an apprenticeship and understood electricity, you know, I'd probably fix your ceiling fan.
I'd appreciate it.
I know, it's a little toasty.
It does get warmer. It's these lights.
Yeah.
These lights are heaters.
I know. You told me I can't take my shirt off.
And so I've got the space heater.
The salamander in the living room is really catching this room pretty good.
I should probably turn that off.
Yeah. Well, that's fine. The paint's not peeling yet. But that fear of the unknown, like if I took a class and learned something about it, it's not scary anymore. Or it's not, you know, I don't need somebody else to call because I understand it now. Same way with people and their medications. And that's, I don't want to say I wish there was more people like me because they're all 8 people watching this are going to be like, no, we don't need anything more like you. But on that simple fact of yearning to educate people and like spread that knowledge and just have that one person go like, oh, like that made me feel really good, like accomplished, I guess, knowing that I'm not coming from a background of streets or book smarts. But to know something that I've learned, because I kind of geek out on pathophys and why your body does what it does. You know, like when you're hot, your body sweats and it naturally cools you, like we are right now. Yeah, because the fan's not running. But that was my bring me back to reality.
Full fuzz.
Came right in my, no, it was like a gnat. Came right in my face.
Oh, Gnat Ridge?
Murder gnat. Gnat Ridge.
Oh, I did see it back over there.
Back behind me? Okay.
Yeah, he's just your friend.
He comes around me again.
Just punch that mic, bro.
Yeah. Right in the speaker.
I'm sorry if you're wearing headphones.
Yeah, if you're listening to this with earphones, I would suggest you take them off. But that was, like I said, that was my compersion. That was my like great feeling that you got it. You're better now for it. You know, the old saying of like, leave something better and you found it. Like I've kind of used that on people that I was only dealing with for 15 minutes, you know, or telling them like, listen, the hospital's not mind readers. Like they're good at what they do, but like if the worst they're going to do is tell you no. So if there's something you need, and this is more like mental suicide, like SI, suicidal ideations or something like that. If there's something you need, ask. Like if they tell you no, then wait, we asked, but they're not going to go like, hey, would you like to talk to, or would you like to go to this? But like, ask them what they can do.
It's being an advocate for the patient.
Exactly. And I love doing that. And educating a little more. It was, so then that transpired over into my precepting, and I dropped my FTO because they drive. When you're precepting, they don't drive. When you're an FTO, they drive, and it's terrifying. So yeah, I'm a little anal retentive on the driving portion of it.
We're at an hour and 43. At 9:41, you want to keep going? You want to end it right now?
I think unless the sun comes up, we're not done here. I don't know. This is more of a Stumpo. This isn't more of a Cissell. It's more what you...
Dude, we can go a few more minutes.
I say,
because that way you still have time.
Have we even accomplished anything?
No.
Have we completed a thought at all?
No, but that's what I love about... This is what I love about doing my podcast. It's like this is just a fun thing for me to do.
Right.
I get to learn something about somebody, and then there's times where I get to shoot the shit with somebody. That's what I
It's
enjoy.
truly when people are like, "What are you guys talking about?" You're like, I don't know.
No, it's
Everything.
Well, we learned about a bunch of stuff. We learned about the academy that it is put on, and that it was a huge positive,
Yeah,
and that
big
it's
positive.
going to get more buy-in from guys when they watch this. And who knows? Like, I know there's people from like Switzerland that watch this. There's people from. I've got a following for some reason. I have a following in like. There's one guy I think in Spain that watches. I don't know. It keeps saying 1%, so I'm assuming it's 1 or half a person that watches. So he might be a midget.
What's his name?
I don't know.
And they're little people. I believe that's the preferred nomenclature.
I met a midget once.
Huh?
I met a midget once.
Yeah, I know. I think you call them little people.
No, I said, you're a midget. He goes, I am. I was like, oh. He accepted it.
He was like, asshole.
As he's walking away.
Call me
It was
midget
only a
asshole.
little asshole, though. But
Yeah.
it's like, that's my thing. It's like,
Mousiest little voice. He said.
he said it in a big person voice. So for me, it's like, this can reach others, like other departments that will watch this. There's guys in very small volunteer departments that listen to this, which I'm super blessed that anybody listens to it. Like, this is the coolest thing for me, that I have a little bit of a reach, like a little bit.
We're going viral.
So, no, yeah, sure.
this one especially.
Dude, there's been some people I've
Going
had
deep.
on that I'm like, dude, they'll get, like Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman, I had him on, and like you type him on YouTube, he's got hundreds of thousands of views on his stuff, and I'm like, this one will be a better one, and it got like 149, and I'm like, then I have,
Because you use yourself as a thumbnail.
yeah, it was just me,
2 thumbs up.
so it's like then you got like I had an episode with Grant, and that one did really well, and then Greg and Ian, those did really well, and the ones that. But it's people around here that know them, that want to listen to them, and that
I'm
shows
just
a
gonna
lot.
keep watching it so that we get up to
and over again.
Yeah.
But that's where the guys around here that'll watch those, the guys that have been on that have done well, that's the amount of respect and buy-in that the people around here have for those guys, and that shows a lot for them, which is great, because all that does is like, oh, I thought so and so was an idiot. Turns out he's not. Like, he's not that that dumb of a person. Like, he's actually pretty smart once you sit and talk with him. I only get like quick little 30 seconds of him, and I'll be the first one to say I act like a moron 99% of the time I'm around anybody, because I have fun.
Oh, like you had to specify that.
No, I'm just saying
work
it
with
me as an example.
Oh, yeah.
I'm using me as an example.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think you're a moron.
But like, you sit there and talk with like Ian for like a minute, like you start talking to him if you don't know him, and you're like, this guy's high, like, he's on drugs. But you sit there like, that's just him.
They're gonna clean him
Yeah.
out before he got on there.
Is he gonna get drug
Lord,
tested?
yeah.
But like, that's just him. That's just the way he is. Like, he
Right.
just talks like that, and it's like, he's not like, what's up, dude? It's just like, he looks like it. He's just got that resting high look. That's what it looks like.
Well, there you go, Ian.
Yeah,
He'll watch this. Yeah, you get. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We're
I'll
gonna
sit
have
there and I'll
800
let him
people, but I'm gonna watch it 700 times.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
But
And my
that's
mom's gonna
what I
watch
love about
50.
this. She will.
Yeah.
And that's
Thanks,
the thing. Is
Mom.
like, it's cool when my mom watches too, and she'll be like, "Hey, great episode." I'm like, "Oh, thanks, wow." Like, it means a lot to me when
I'm taking
when someone
popcorn
watches
over, and I'm gonna watch it with your mom.
Thank
like a movie premiere.
it. Ooh,
Hey, Mrs. Stumpo.
popcorn and all.
I'm ready for the
Pop-Tarts.
rest of the tour.
No, that's what I love about doing this. It's been pretty cool, and plus I get to meet so many. Like, I get to meet people and have them come over to my house, and like, it's kind of a
Oh,
forced
it's the
way
first
to
time I've
have a
been here.
friendship. I know.
First time I've been here.
It's
You
a
live
forced
5
friendship.
minutes from me.
You were like, I'm on my way. I'm like, cool. It'll be about 10, 15.
Yeah.
You're here in like 4 minutes.
Well, yeah, I don't drive speed limit.
Oh, you don't need to.
No,
You have a Dodge Ram.
I have a Ram.
It's
Dodge dropped off.
Oh,
Yeah.
is it already falling apart?
Hey, no. Got bird poop on it the other day, really bad, like the whole door.
So bad.
I
you had
was
to
like,
remove
"What'd
the
I do to
Dodge
you?"
so
And then I
bad.
realized I trimmed the tree in my front yard. And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, you real mad?"
I got bird shit all over my trailer and my truck too. I just had it washed today though.
Well, yeah, but yours is a Ford though, so it gets shit on all the time.
It does. It's a great truck. Pulls that trailer just nice. What would be something that you would love to see in the fire service for the future to watch change?
You can put me on the spot. I think not so much change, but I think as long as we don't get comfortable, I think as long as we continue progressing and doing what, keeps us live longer, keeps us in the job longer. Not to say that we have to be in the job till our physically bodies can't do it anymore. Like we were going to send him to a nursing home, but he wants 5 more years on his pension. No, like, but there's guys that are like, man, I can't do it anymore. I had that hip thing in 92 and it's rearing back up with me. Like more creature comforts that allow us to do the job more, if we could get the, staffing and to where it needs to be, where we can give guys a break for a minute, where they don't have to, like you said, with the sleep, you only get one good night of it. More of you time, more of your family time, less of, I got to have another job. I got to supplement this, so I know it has nothing to do with tools and equipment and techniques, but get guys where they're comfortable, where they can live a life, have a family, where they don't have to rely on what they do on the next 2 days while they're off. Whether it has to be like we pass bills, we pass whatever. I mean, cops aren't going to like it, but they don't like anything we do because they're jealous.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, some of us graduated high school, some of us became cops. It's fine. That was for you, Nick. And only Nick, not anybody else. I have utmost respect. No, I do. I've worked with some phenomenal officers, and I owe a lot to them. But did I put this in front of my face? I moved it.
No, you're fine now. But there's a lot. I mean, a lot of police officers. They're just keep going up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of police officers that don't have that camaraderie aspect or that brotherhood aspect.
Yeah. No.
Because they're not in that group setting all the time. They're sitting in a car by themselves. So they don't have someone to talk to about a lot of stuff. So those are the guys you really got to watch out for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to say, but we had Tim Guinan last year.
Yeah.
And he committed suicide. And it sucks. Like, it sucks a lot. Now, was it because he was by himself all the time? No, he was going through a lot of medical issues, lot of medical issues, and things that had happened and transpired through that stressed that out even more. So that was, I don't want to say too much to piss anybody off, but it's just my opinions. I think we all failed. We all failed. And that department failed because it was an issue that was known. Not the like, oh, he's going to commit suicide. It wasn't that. It was the issue of, we know what's going on with him, like medically speaking. Mm-hmm. And we know that this, I had back pain. It's nothing like neck pain. I've had the back pain and it's not bearable. Like, it is not bearable long term. He was bearing it a long time. So at that point, it's like, I know for me, my stance on it is whatever you need to fix this without that option, please do it. There's people that I've met. Obviously, they're not on the job, but they're like, man, I smoke weed. And does it really help you 100%? Like, if you've got horrible leg pain? I don't know.
If it makes them believe that it's helping,
them think it.
That's what helps them.
And it's like, to a point where it's like, if that is what does help, which there is some science out there that does preclude to that. But it's like, at that point, it's like, do what you've got to do. And as long as you're okay is what we need to find out. But like, stopping and hindering some things, like, I don't agree with that.
No, I mean, and even if we're going to go this route, we're going to go it. We're going to take it. I don't know what time we're at, but we're taking this route.
Sure.
You want to talk about suicide and stuff like that. I can't stand it. I've dealt with a number of individuals I've known. Oh, I moved my camera. Okay, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, no, you're good.
People that I've known personally, people that I've heard of, and then runs I've taken, and then unfortunately I got to hear like the story of why, and the weird, just the things they do in the moment. That shows you like they still are thinking clearly. Like, one guy waited for he knew his son and his wife were going to go to a basketball tournament. Like, he had a basketball tournament and the guy wasn't going. So he stayed home, went down the basement, like farthest place where it wouldn't get heard, wouldn't hear the gun go off, nothing like that. Knew his wife and son wouldn't be back for a while. So it was like, you had a little bit of humanity. Like, you didn't want your son to be in the house. You didn't want your wife to be there. But at the same time, it's like, why? You always get mad at them, but you can't because it was their decision whether you agree with it or not. But I hate it. I can't stand it because it fixes one quote unquote problem, but it causes grief for all these other people. There was, I don't know where, I can't even like cite where this was, but it was something like, if you could see how many people showed up, and it's referencing somebody that committed suicide, because you get it to people all the time, like, I just have nobody. That's the farthest thing from the truth. Because somebody, and it might be a dramatic statement, or they really want to do it, but in my years of, I mean, I worked since I was 18 in EMS. I've had the conversations a lot with people that, you know, it's either the dude that took the teaspoon and cut the back of his arm. He's like, I want to die. I was like, and you just look at it, you're like, should I tell? I'm not going to tell him that that's not right. But it's the way he feels right now. And then you've had the people that's like, I took this bottle and this bottle and this bottle, and I've drank a fifth. And you're like, shit. Like, you're serious about this, aren't you? And then you get the people to do it. And you're too late. And I've had that conversation with them, and I'm one person, and I'm a stranger at that, trying to tell them people care about you. I don't know you from anybody. You don't know me. But I'm like, no, people care. Like, your mom cares. And then they always have like a mom doesn't love me. And I'm like, I don't know what your mom does. Like, she might not. I don't know. But I think, yeah, we can do more. Like you're talking about the officer. We talk more into it. Me?
There you go.
In the mic?
Yeah.
Oh, did I lean back? See, I got fidgety.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes to not have someone take their life, for their family, for us. I mean, I hate even hearing about it. Even somebody, you see it on Facebook all the time, of a friend of a friend has done it, and you don't know them at all, but like, it sucks because now your friend lost somebody they loved. I've got a box of like funeral pamphlets at home. Like, I call it the box of death. It's not all suicides.
No,
Right?
well.
I collect all my suicide ones. No, I'm not saying anything like that, but there are some in there, and I'm like, Jesus. Like, they were young, they were my age, or this or that. We don't truly know what's going on, but you always have that guilt of, man, was there something? Like, why didn't they say something to me? Or what did I miss? You take it very personal, and I know that everyone else around them takes it personal. So then it causes anguish on them, and you get a couple of them piling up on you, then you start having bad mental health, and you're like, I've lost 2 people, and now I don't feel like being here. So now you've rolled that snowball down. You fixed your problem. You don't feel alone anymore because you've killed yourself. But now you've got everybody around you that, you know, I always hated deaths on holidays, Mother's Day, Christmas, Father's, all those, because even if it's a natural death, they're never going to be like, is it Christmas Eve? Yeah. No, it's going to be like, remember when Grandma died 4 years ago in that chair?
And it's even the guys responding on that call.
You
I
remember that? It's Christmas Eve. Remember the one?
Yeah, I do.
Oh yeah, remember that accident?
I can vividly tell you one right now. It's a kid on Christmas night. He was telling a story to his parents and shot himself in the head. And it's like ever since Christmas, every single one of those, it just pops back. I don't even intentionally think about it.
Oh yeah.
It just pops back up, and you're sitting there around your family, and everyone's all happy, and you're just like, dude, a kid.
Yeah, you're like, there's a family.
He was a teenager.
Is hating this day more than me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, God dang it. It's not like, oh, poor me, look at me. It's like, you remember it.
It's sad.
And it's sad. It sucks. And it's like imagining that for the family.
Yeah, because
it's the empathy
you didn't
for
know
the
him.
family.
Yeah, you didn't know him, so it's not truly sad for you. It's sad because you have a whole group of people that cared for that person that are hurting every single year, and it gets easier, but you never forget it.
Well, the mom and dad were standing right there.
Oh,
right. Dude, there's one that we had that really was like, it was upsetting. It wasn't like, oh, I'm disturbed. It was like, I am so pissed that he did it in front of his little daughter and his girlfriend. Yeah. And I vividly remember seeing the blood stains and the spray on his daughter's playset, dolls, and the wall. And I'm like, And I don't know why I thought this, but I looked at the play set and I'm like, she plays with that.
Yeah.
That's hers. And it's got
funny
her,
what you
it's got her
tunnel in
dad's
on, yeah.
blood on it.
Yeah.
And the guy was already passed. There was nothing we could have done. There was
Mm-hmm.
absolutely nothing. But like, I remember the daughter just standing and crying and screaming, and the girlfriend was doing the same thing. And it's like, and the officers were talking and handling it with them. They had a female officer, we're talking to them, and another male officer. And, you know, I'm just standing there and I just kind of looked at that and I just kept thinking that. It's like, and it is so sad because it's like, man, it was during COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody's stressed out. The guy lost his job and he was terrified of not being able to make the payments. And he thought that him being dead and then the insurance coming in would be better.
Yeah.
And that's literally what he was saying to his girlfriend before he did it right in front of them. And it's like, dude, if you could just hold on, just hold on a little bit longer, because I know it's tight right now. I know that tunnel is super tight right now, but it will open up at some point. Because at the end of that tunnel, I made a post about this. It was actually Jordan Peterson that said this on the Lex Friedman podcast. Hit me up. No,
I don't know. You just talk so fast. It was just like
Jordan Peterson.
Jordan Peterson. Okay.
Lex Friedman podcast. And it's like, whenever you are in the darkness, is there any way of pulling yourself out? And Jordan Peterson said, there is a way. Like, you can, if you stay in the darkness long enough, you will see the light. It will be there at some point.
Eventually, yeah.
But if you've got to get yourself out, you've got to climb out of that mountain. You got to keep moving. That's right. If you stop and just stay there, that tunnel's getting tighter on you. That stress is still coming. It's piling on. But if you move and you make your bed in the morning, you go and walk, you go and exercise, you go start something, you get a purpose, and you try to help others. It's not about yourself. It's about helping others. I mean, I conclude everything to God, like everything that I try to do for him. And obviously I fail every day, but it's like,
I think
you have that
we're
purpose.
Set up to fail.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, standards are pretty high.
Oh, it's extremely
pretty high with a big guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the accountability is even higher. So it's like, you sit there and you're like, I have to have a purpose in my life. And if that's the thing that stops you, find a purpose, find something, a hobby. That's why so many firemen and first responders have hobbies. Like, I've got a few hobbies, and it's not saying anything related to suicide, but it's like, I have a few hobbies. Why? Because I don't want to stop.
Right.
You have hobbies, I'm sure. Yeah. It's because you don't want to stop.
It's several projects that are almost done or almost started
for the last 5 years. But that's what you wish for these guys and gals that commit suicide. And it's mainly been men that I've been on. 99% have been men for suicide. And it's like, I just wish that they had something. Like, at the last second, they were like, man, no, I can't. I got a dog. Like, man, no, I can't. I got my family. Man, no, I can't. Like, I made a promise. Like, there's something there that they feel like that is, and there's some people that are just so anxiety and depressed ridden that that's the only option that they see because it's the easiest option. Right. And it's not. I don't agree with it being the easiest. It is an easy option. It's a cowardly option. It's like, because I've been there. I have been there, but it's not your only option. And making a warrior out of a person is somebody who has that and faces that and then overcomes it. That's a warrior. And what do you want to be seen as? Do you want to be seen as a warrior, or do you want to see somebody that quit? Because I don't see that option. I've had personal friends that have done it, and it sucks. And you're like sitting there like, and some people are just you're not gonna see it coming. Robin Williams, you're not gonna see it coming.
Yeah. Patch Adams, who's
exactly.
He was even
the doctor. He was a doctor.
He was a funny doctor.
Exactly. And it's like, there's just people that are going to do it.
Don't forget.
Dude, he was so many things in his life.
But a true loss, yes.
And it's like, you don't see it coming.
Yeah.
But there's going to be people that you don't see pulling through with that. And it's not like, you never want that to happen. And you just want to, and that's why, like, every interaction you have with somebody, man, cheer them on, be their cheerleader for a bit, kind of kiss their ass.
You push those carts in, buddy.
Yeah,
you get those carts back in there.
Great work. Like, I know, like, for me, it's
Kroger
not like my
appreciates
only,
you.
So like when I'm walking around, if I see someone doing something, like a UPS guy was driving around, and I was like, hey man, I appreciate you. He goes,
them brown shorts.
That brown looks so good on you. And I say, hey man, I appreciate you. And he's like, thank you, man. I said, no, I really do. Like, you bring me my packages when they're supposed to be here. Like,
you handle my package with care.
Yeah, except for FedEx, you know. But it's like, that is,
so good.
You show that appreciation to somebody Dude, that goes a mile. We get it every day when we go to the store. Thank you for your service. Hey, we appreciate your support. Thank you so much. I got that one from Stahl. Like he's the one that says that. It's like, we hear that all the time. Why don't we say that to other people? Like the cashier taking your money when you just made your purchase. Yeah. Isn't it easier having a cashier standing right there that you can just have her do that job? And at the end of it, say, hey, thank you for doing all that. Well, it's my job. No. I appreciate that. Like you handled all the stuff with care. You took care of everything. You made it a speedy process and an easy, stress-free process for me.
You put all those cans on top of my bread. Loved it. Love that move. No, I get what you're saying.
They're
like
punching the bread.
You don't know. And we're all selfish in our own rights. Of, I'm in a hurry. I'm leaving the store. Mm-hmm. Heads down. I know where I parked. I'm walking out. But maybe I look at one person and I go, "Hey, how are you?" Mm-hmm. And that's just what one person needed to change their outlook or to have some worldly vision of like, you know what, maybe not today. Mm-hmm. I give them one more day.
You never know.
Whatever. You don't know, but obviously you can be like, how are you? Hi, I'm Toodles. Hi, hello.
You're not going to suicide, right?
Yeah. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'll just wear that shirt. Don't do it.
And it's the thing, but you just never know. Because I know for me, I will use the example for me because I experienced it. I was at the gym the other day, and a buddy of mine's girlfriend just came up just to say hi. And she goes, hey, just wanted to say hi. I mean, this girl's stunning. Like, stunning. And it's like, you walked all the way over here just to say hi to me? Now, she's doing it because I made the comment like, hey, we're actually friends. And she's like, we're friends? I'm like, yeah, we're friends. It's like, that meant so much to me that someone wanted to walk all the way over to me and come say hi.
She's like, I'm actually going to the machine right behind you, but since you're here, hi.
You've been here for 47 minutes.
I've been waiting for you to leave, so I didn't have to talk to you.
But it meant so much to me. It made my day. And I was like, dude, someone walked all the way. I watched them walk all the way across the gym just to say hi and then walk away. And it was a friendly interaction. It was awesome. It was wholesome to me. And I was like smiling because I was like, someone wanted to say hi to me.
She talked to me.
Yeah, she said hi to me. And it's, but then again, like her boyfriend is my friend, so she probably felt obligated, like, oh, he's a loser anyway, so I gotta go talk to this guy. Yeah. Make sure he's wearing a Cobra Kai shirt. He's kind of a loser.
He's a charity case. I gotta go talk to him.
But I know that it made my day. So, like, how many times could you make someone's day?
Right, but we're all enamored with what our day's doing.
Yeah. Maybe this could be an opportunity where somebody sits there and says, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do one thing a day for somebody else, whether that's hold the door for them.
Those gunshots?
Yeah. That is gunshot.
That is a gunshot. All right, roll them up.
Is this Greenwood?
Roll them up. Yeah.
I thought I lived in New Whiteland.
Yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah.
Well, there's a cornfield. There's a cornfield out back. And watch, you hear sirens fly by and everything. No, there's a cornfield out back. People are shooting out back.
I spent 12 years playing the game of fireworks or gunshots, and gunshots don't sizzle at the end. So
yeah. So, but what I would say is like this could be a challenge to everybody either listening in or even ourselves. Like once a day, try once a week at first. Try to just make a comment to somebody. Hey, I like those shoes. Like, I do actually like those shoes.
You're not even wearing shoes.
Oh, yeah. I'm not even wearing. I took my shoes off. Hey man, cool backpack. Whatever it is, even if it's a lame backpack, that guy likes it for some reason. Say it's a cool backpack. Now, if it's really lame, help the guy out. Like he's wearing a fanny pack. Take that fanny pack off. But it's like,
I mean, you could do so much with fanny. I'm not the fanny pack type, but you could do so much with fanny pack.
One of my friends wears a fanny pack, and I would never. I mean, I've told him, I was like, dude, but he's a big, huge bodybuilder. Like,
yeah, who's going to tell him not to wear the fanny pack?
Ain't nobody telling him not to wear that fanny pack. But I know I made the comment. I was like, DB, but
oh, I know,
yeah. All right. And he's like, what's up? And he's zip, and I'm like,
exactly. You're one zipper away from everything you need.
And it's like the fanny, and he's like, man, it's great.
It's like a trapper keeper for your waist.
It's a trapper keeper for your waist. But it's like, just do one thing for somebody, and you just never know the outcome. Yeah. You never know what you might get. That's just my challenge to people.
No, I mean, we should all be a little bit better at that. But life has got us so just wrapped up. And
it's our phones. We're staring at our phones all the time.
I've looked at mine once in this 2 hours.
And
going crazy.
Look at the conversation we've had. Oh, that's ruined.
Oh, man, I have so many texts.
So many texts. Well, let's go ahead and put this thing to an end.
Everyone stop texting me. I'm talking to Matt.
You're so famous.
That made my face all the time.
I do appreciate you spending the time out of your evening. it's for a great cause. I think that, if there's one person here that sits there and says, they can relate to something out of this, and that's a win for me. I hope it's a win for you too. But again, man,
I just hope we finished a thought.
Yeah.
We were all over the place.
Dude, I love it. Who cares? If someone's like,
I
man,
know.
they suck, I don't care.
No, I know.
Like,
It's fun. But I'm sitting here, I'm like, did we finish a thought?
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, we finished all of them.
So.
It's your problem. If you didn't get what we were getting at, it's their problem. It's
maybe
the
you should
problem.
be a better listener and also more of a future teller. So
maybe you should have known what we were saying.
Exactly.
You just want to work on sponsors now?
We could, sponsors, please. So,
Hey, Husqvarna.
I would like to
Steel.
take Wright Mowers as a sponsor. That would be
Right,
great.
Mowers.
So,
Steel. Get me in on
Steel
that.
gets you,
Yeah.
Walther,
Love a good
Walther
chainsaw.
PDP. I'd like that.
I'm a Springfield guy.
Walther's fantastic.
Yeah, I know. But
Fantastic
what
firearms.
about Colt? You want to go straight Colt? Yeah.
Oh,
1911?
well,
No?
sure. I mean, I'll take one if they're giving it to me. I ain't gonna buy one.
Well, now we just lost our sponsor.
No,
Thanks a
not
lot,
really.
Matt.
They can convert me.
We had him hooked, and now
No, I'm playing hard to get.
that's not how this works.
No,
No.
I thought that's how it worked. But I'll have to have
You're
you
getting
on.
Colgate, and that's it.
Oh,
We said
Crest. The ones that turn your teeth like a different color if you got cavities or something.
that you chew in like third
the
grade.
chewables, yeah.
And when the dentist
I'll
comes
get
and talks to
sponsors of
you.
those. I want a skid of
Yeah.
those.
And you got to use that like snow shovel of a toothbrush.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll get one of those. But all right, let's get this thing to a close. I really appreciate you coming on,
Yeah.
buddy.
Bye, peoples.
And there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the very end of this video. If you did listen to the entire podcast, if there's a way you could reach me, Lemon is the word. So all you gotta do is just find out where I'm at, either on Instagram or Facebook, or even in the comments section if you're watching this on YouTube, and just send me the word lemon. That way I know that you paid attention all the way to the very end. Let me know what you guys think of this episode. Give it a like if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Spotify or any other program that you're using. Just let me know how you guys think I'm doing. What do I need to improve on, and what can I do to keep you interested in oncoming episodes? So I hope every part of this episode has spoken to somebody. And if you are feeling suicidal, if you are feeling depressed or anxious, please talk to somebody, whether it's a loved one, it's a crew member, or someone that you trust and care about. Talk to them, because suicide is something that affects a lot more people than just yourself. So without that said, guys, I hope that you guys have a wonderful week. Happy Memorial Day. It's that weekend here, and I hope that you guys have fun and be safe out there. God bless.